WACA ground for Friday night WAFL action. And this promises to be an interesting game tonight. Despite the weather, West Perth and Claremont, two very skillful sides, and I think we're likely to see a very good contest. West Perth 1-1 at the present time. They defeated East Perth in the opening round. They lost a thriller last Saturday by 2 points against Swan Districts up at Bassendean. You saw it live on Channel 7. And on the same day, Claremont picked up their first victory of the season. They're 1-0. They defeated Perth by 32 points. The story that runs alongside this contest, I guess, is the clash of the coaches. Bruce Monteith, well, he made no secret of the fact he wanted to coach Claremont. Conversely, Gerard Neesham was offered the West Perth job. Quite a deal of strategy involved, I'm sure, off the field in pre-season. Quite a deal of strategy will flow over onto the ground tonight. What say we meet those coaches?
Bruce Monteith is in his first year as coach at West Perth. Last season he guided the Claremont Colts to a premiership after hanging up his boots following 30 league games with the Tigers. He began his playing career as a teenager with the Bulldogs, chalking up 120 games with South Fremantle before venturing to Melbourne. There he played 125 games with Richmond, captaining the Tigers to football's ultimate achievement, a VFL premiership. Gerard Neesham too is in his first year as a league coach, taking the reins from Graham Moss at Claremont. 79 games with the Sharks, 97 with Swan Districts and 9 with the Sydney Swans stamped him as one of football's most valuable players. This is no doubt the biggest challenge of his career and one he will relish. Neesham is also the development officer with the WA Water Polo Association.
Under lights then at the WACA ground. With me is Eric Sarich. How do you see it going tonight, Eric?
Well, Claremont have got all the rave notices so far, Dennis. West Perth dropped a bad one, I thought, last week at Bassendean, a game they, I'm sure, would have budgeted on winning. In fact, they didn't. It was costly, so it should be very, very even. A little bit the Falcons' way, actually. I think they've got a lot of ability up there.
Premiership points at stake. Under lights at the WACA. Peter Menaglio is star last weekend. First kick of the game out towards right half forward for the Falcons. Awkward bounce out there. Here's a chance for Miles. Miles goes over the top to Morton. Back it comes to Miles. So he won't be playing with the Eagles on Sunday as he fires it down towards half forward. Contest down there, and the clever mark is taken behind by David O'Connell. Slippery, as you can see. Centres the ball and does it to a nicety. Steve Golding takes the mark. And Golding took a very heavy knock against Perth last week. Somewhat surprising to see him out there. He looked gone to the world watching the replay in that game. Warren Ralph on a lead. Bush Jones coming with him. There goes the kick then from Steve Golding. And he puts it through, I think, for a goal. No, he just misses.
Dennis, West Perth are using Bradmore at centre-half forward right from the start. A little bit of controversy as to where he should play. We saw him last week at Bassendean at centre-half back, and he sadly had a touch, and that little attempt to run him back in a form didn't really work. He looked all at sea, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Kickett interfering out there. Mifka will take the free kick. Mifka, left half back. Rain is falling steadily. He comes along the grandstand side. Bradmore, fingertip mark. It'll be paid. He's on centre wing. Doesn't mind roving for his kicks as he sends it down towards half forward. It's all Claremont down there through the fingertips of the big fellow. That's Higgins, I think. Yes, it is. Wearing a different Guernsey to what he wore in the pre-season games. This is Buick deep in the pocket. Pulls it back to a nicety. Sean King couldn't hang on. Golding is in there. Fong's got the ball. He started on the ground today. Kick is blanketed. Claremont win it away around the outer side. Scrambled kick by Morton. So it's a foot race. Munns arrives first for West Perth out there. Chips it back towards centre half forward looking for Nelson, and Nelson showed good courage to go in there and take the mark. He was oblivious to all around him. Gavin Wake is 27, lending advice. So Craig Nelson. Chance to put West Perth in front outside 50. High kick towards the square. Almost the Claremont mark down there. A chance for Higgins off the ground. Couldn't pick it up. McKenna deflects it back towards Higgins. Scrambled kick out of defence, only as far as Menaglio. Menaglio wants to centre the ball. A heap of West Perth players in the middle, one of whom is Nelson. He takes the mark. Munns breaking outside. He ignores that. Now Nelson, normally a pretty long kick of the football, goes for distance, wobbles one down towards the kickoff line. Almost the mark down there to King. On his knees, Bradmore can't keep it in. Assisted over the line by Miles. Throw in. Surprising Jeff Miles is out of the Eagles.
Yes, apparently made a couple of fairly costly mistakes last week. I'd rather fancy him as a footballer, actually. I think he's a very, very talented player, and I'm We're puzzled about the lineup for the Eagles, to be quite honest, Dennis. I would have thought he could have fitted in there rather easily.
Urquhart getting a free kick after Mummy kicked it out. There's Peter Manane on the West Perth side tonight. Urquhart driving along the grandstand side. Nelson should have marked that one. Knocked forward by Armat. Socket off the ground by Turley. Close to the boundary line. It's out of bounds and will have a free kick. It'll go Claremont's way to be taken by Joe Armat. A lot of changing of Guernsey numbers tonight. Craig Turley in number 8, I notice.
Confusing, isn't it?
Yes. Now Nelson takes the mark, but the free kick is going to David O'Connell down there. Millie's not happy about that. Oakey is. He's got the ball just outside 50. Goes in short. I don't think intended for Kickett, who managed to get a fingertip to it. After it goes Kickett on all fours. Turley with a chance to soccer it off the ground. Ralph showed a lot of courage. Perrin going in on top of him. And perhaps Ralph could have got a free kick there because Perrin wasn't, I don't think, worried very much about the football. Bounce down just inside 50 at centre half forward. Huge leap from David O'Connell, picked up by Wake. The hand pass to Perrin. He's a dasher. Away he goes then to the outer side. Sean King is up in front. It's knocked away by Miles. Miles goes again, collides with Perrin. Ball knocked towards Claremont's goal. This is Wake just inside the boundary line. He's confronted, does it nicely, gets it across to support. Bush Jones in turn the deflection to Damon. He breaks away. Wayne Damon runs up to centre wing and kicks long towards half forward. From behind, Scott gets a fist in there. Wide of the pack, a chance for Manane. Manane chips towards goal. Will it skid through? No, the wrong side of the post. Scores a level.
Well, it's just about the first genuine goal-scoring opportunity either side have had. There aren't going to be many, Dennis. Slippery conditions out there at the moment, and early goals are going to be priceless.
Beers kicks in. This is McKenna. He's at right half back. Now you've got to take the ball with you. McKenna goes back and picks it up. This is Golding. Golding chips it in short. Mummy. A lot of Claremont players down this side of the ground. Mummy can go over the top. He's intent on drawing the man Turley. Now he gets it to Kickett. Kickett back towards Mummy. He's outside 50. The angle now is acute. Mummy on the 50-metre line, upended by Buick. Kick goes down towards full forward. In front, Bush Jones takes the timely mark down there. Bush Jones, full back, chips in short towards centre half back, and Wake is there for West Perth. Plays on by hand. Breaking away is Perrin. He comes grandstand side. Fong takes the mark. Just up from left half back. Men on down the ground, one of whom is Turley. That's the direction the kick takes, and Turley takes the mark on centre wing. Craig Turley, promising youngster, kicks towards half forward. Beers is in front. Knocked away by Bradmore. Managlio's got it. Long hand pass and a good one. Manane gives it back towards Managlio. Should have gone on his left side there, Manane. Crashing through his Thorn. Picks up the ball just inside the line, Thorn. Hand passes on to Urquhart. He's got the ball on centre wing. Kickett, watch his left side. No, he goes to his right. He knew all about that. Now he's grabbed from behind by Wake. It comes to Morton. Morton goes down towards the 50-metre line. Thorn in best position to mark. Hands to it couldn't. David O'Connell couldn't control it. Fong was taken high. He'll get the free kick.
Well, there's one before that, Dennis. I don't know how well Fong ends up with the ball, but I would have thought a free kick might have been forthcoming to Bell.
Fong goes across and finds Nelson.
Good early form. That's his third mark, I think, Dennis, in the early minutes of the first quarter.
Nelson plays on, kicks towards the outer side. Well done, Armat, fisting away from Damon. That'll be interesting out there. Still it's Armat. Was he tripped? Well played, Joe Armat. Great skills as he breaks away from a couple of West Perth players. Chips it in short. And the mark is taken on the outer side by McKenna. He plays on, goes deep towards the pocket. O'Connell is down there and he manages to hang on, or is it Cook? It's Cook who's taken the mark, and he would only be about 20 metres out on a 45-degree angle. Stephen Cook. Chance to kick the first goal of the game. Very disappointing crowd, we must say that. I suppose 1,500 to 2,000 at best. It is raining, but it's not raining that hard. Here's Cook. What's he done? He's put it through for a goal for the Tigers. The first of the evening. Marked by Steve Sadowski. Back in the centre. One out by Nelson down towards half forward. Knocking it through there is Turley. Still he goes. He's inside 50 metres. Turley gets it across to Bradmore. Bradmore scrambles a kick inside 25, and the mark is taken down there by Madaffery. He's the forward pocket specialist. I think the first of his kind since Don Aldersey.
What a place to be on a night like this.
The forward pocket.
Nice and nippy, wouldn't it?
Not if you're kicking goals. Madaffery goes goalward and puts it through. Quick reply from West Perth. 1-1 apiece. You're darn right, Paddy.
Well, a good goal, good reply by West Perth. In fact, It's fair to say, I think, Dennis, that the standard of play hasn't been all that bad because the conditions are greasy. The light drizzle has just temporarily left us, but it has been with us early on. And actually, I came across the ground from the outer, and the conditions, I don't think the players will ever play on a better surface. It is absolutely in A1 order, and so I guess that conditions-wise, apart from a bit of a drizzle, I couldn't want for much better.
I noticed you playing a few defensive strokes as you went through the wicket area too.
Ian Brayshaw wanted to know what would I do if after I examined the wicket, and I decided I would have batted. If Valletta can make 200-odd runs, I figure I could last a ball or two.
There's the bounce. 1-1 apiece. Turley's got it. Manane looking for Managlio. That was at close quarters. Managlio with courage goes after the ball. Kickett slings him, and the umpire decides to ball it up. Vernon and O'Reilly, our men in white tonight. Spill. Bounce down just inside the centre square. Nelson wins it, taken by Morton. Morton boots it back towards half forward. Coming to meet the ball, McKenna. Awkward bounce. Wake now. Wake. Not a good hand pass. This is Urquhart. Urquhart gets the hand pass to Thorne. Thorne goes to Golding. He's at right half forward, Steve Golding. Keeps it in play nicely. Gets it across to support. This is Mummy. Mummy running away from goal. Now steadies and boots it back towards centre half forward. Almost a clever mark taken down there by Ralph. He's going to get a free kick. Now David O'Connell is off the ground with what appeared to be an arm injury. So Claremont with a few problems in their key forward areas, and they need this man to fire obviously at full forward. He came out long on a lead that time and got the umpire's nod. There's Nelson back in the goal square. One sense is if Ralph gets onto this, Nelson won't be required. He's kicking from 50 metres. Warren Ralph, long kick, telling kick, puts it through for a goal. His second for the Tigers. Claremont leading by 6 points. Knocked forward by Ahmad. Kickett. Still it's Kickett with brilliance. Away he comes from the centre square area. Goes down towards full forward. Up is Ralph. Couldn't mark. Coming through Sadowski. Well played, Sadowski. Smothered off the boot brilliantly by Thorne. Bush Jones diving on the ball. Sadowski comes back in. He's claimed by Ralph. Bush Jones hand passes towards the safety of the boundary line and finds it. Well, I think that size is going to be a problem down there. Ralph towering above Bush Jones. Fair enough, it's a greasy night, but Ralph almost took that mark as the ball came in. Could have been 2 goals in a couple of minutes, and you can't give Ralph that sort of start. He's very much a confidence player. This is Wake out of the congestion. Goes towards the outer side, close to the boundary line. It bounces out of bounds, and we'll have a throw-in out there.
Now, I'd go back to your point about the conditions, Dennis. I don't think Warren Ralph is going to be able to utilise his extra height and take a lot of marks because the ball is pretty greasy already, and he's going to have to earn his goals, and I don't think that height advantage means a great deal tonight.
Nelson beautifully down to Fong, who drives it around the outer side. Pack into the air out there. Host number 23 follows it towards the boundary line and will have a throw in. So both sides getting into the act so far. Play swinging to both ends of the ground. The breeze really not a factor. Boundary throw in outer side. Nelson and Higgins. It's one down by the latter, knocked on by Ahmat towards the boundary line. Peter Manane, great to see him back in action after so many problems. He came back once. Again, more problems in the pre-season this year. And he's won his way back into this side. He was a quality player when he came to the West. It's to be hoped he can find that form again. Nelson. Wake trying to go through the pack, as did Nelson before him. This is Thorne. Clever hand pass. Gets it out nicely. McKenna shovels it across to Miles, and Miles drives it around the outer side. Caught. Almost a one-hander opposed to Mifka. Well played by Court. Shows panache as he comes around on the right foot and drives it down towards full forward. Sadowski did the pirouette before he got to Ahmat. Tried to come through his Mummy. Numbers favour West Perth, but Ahmat has different ideas. It's close to the boundary line. I think Ahmat's going to get a free kick, is he?
No, that was out of bounds, Dennis.
I thought I saw the umpire indicating it was too high, but what he was doing was indicating throw it in to the boundary umpire. One down by Court. Hand pass from Cook comes to Mummy. Mummy's high snapshot goes out of bounds on the full. And the players may face the indignity of going and getting the ball.
And I can tell you what, that fence isn't very easy to climb over either, Dennis, particularly with a pair of football boots on.
As you can see, the crowd has an umbrella tonight. This is Buick in the back pocket. Goes towards the outer side. From behind, kick it. That's a great mark with a greasy ball.
Actually, could I reverse my earlier prediction? I think Claremont is showing far too much skill for West Perth at the moment.
Yes, that doesn't surprise me. You wanting to reverse your decision, I mean. Through the hands of Ralph, who leads back in the race. Perrin is after him. chance for Menaglio. Brilliantly done across the face of the pack. He was taken high. He's going to get the free kick, but he certainly has marvellous courage, Peter Menaglio. No thought of trying to run alongside them or fancy Dan it. He just slipped across their path. Such is his belief in his own skills. From half back, he kicks towards the centre of the ground. A lot of jostling there. Brilliant mark is taken for Claremont by Tony Beers. Oh, superb mark. That's a couple of great marks in the space of a minute.
Yes, good to see too.
Beers across the ground to Higgins. Higgins down towards half forward. He's mobile for a big fellow. He plays on, goes long down towards full forward. High telling kick. Cook is down there, knocked away by Sadowski. Soppering off the ground. Cook has got a goal for the Tigers. He beat Bush Jones to the punch, or in that case the kick. Well, in fact, the umpire says it brushed the leg of Bush Jones and it was only a behind.
There you
Must
go.
have been a very delicate brush. He certainly got it to move pretty quickly as Bell goes towards the outer side. And the mark is taken on the outer side there by Bush Jones. Bush Jones in towards centre field. Kick it. That was a good strong mark too. Plays on quickly. Spears the ball out towards half forward. Chance out there for Mummy. Rides a bump well does Mummy. Still on his knees. He delivers the ball back to Miles. Miles across towards McKenna. McKenna goes over the top looking for support. Miles in trouble. Bell. Well played by Brendan Bell. Gets the hand pass out wide to Buick. Buick breaks away from half back and goes across centre wing. Now West Perth a chance to make something of it. As you can see, it's getting heated behind the plate. There's no ball in there. Munns has got it as he kicks it down towards full forward. Into the air down there was Lewis. The ball runs free and goes through for a behind to West Perth. They trail 1-2 to 2-2. John Scott kicked over 70 goals last season at full forward for the Tigers. At full back this evening. Goes towards the outer side. Maglio does well, getting it on the ground. Urquhart picks up the crumbs to Host. Host from the 25-metre defensive line puts it out of bounds on the full, and Menaglio will take the free kick on the outer side. And unfortunately, he needs help to get the ball back. Still without a boot. He took that kick at half back without a boot. Short one to Manane. Still too far out to score. He's about 55 metres out from goal, Peter Manane. Now he'll put this one for distance to the kickoff line. That's not a bad effort from there. He's pulled it a little bit. Down goes the boundary umpire. It hit the behind post on the full, so it's out of bounds on the full. And Claremont will take the resultant free kick. They lead by 6 points. Not a bad vantage point, that scoreboard tonight. On the outer side, Claremont work it forward. Golding the hand pass, not a good one. It's taken by Holmes, who appeared to be held without it by Mummy. There was no free kick. Mummy butters up again and boots it around the outer side, and Mifka comes down to take the mark on his chest. He plays on quickly. Hand passes to Perrin. Perrin drives it back inside 50. The leap down there from Higgins. It clears the pack. Scott is back. He's got the ball deep in his own defensive area. Has good vision as he comes grandstand side. Lays the ball into the path of McKenna. It bounces obligingly for him. He pulls it back cleverly looking for Morton. He got an awkward bounce, but he played it brilliantly. Got it to kick it. Now the Dynamo's away. Kick it running towards half forward. Spears a pass down towards Ralph.
Free kick.
Ralph was pushed in the back by Bush Jones and will get the free kick. No doubt about that.
Well, nothing to do with his height. The fact is that it was quite an unnecessary push too, Dennis. Now the mark had already been missed at that point, and then Bush Jones got into his back. There's no doubt whatsoever about the push in the back. In fact, that is a very, very similar position to from whence he got his first and only goal, as a matter of fact.
Let's see what he can do then. He's a little bit straighter this time. He'll be firing from the 50-metre line. Warren Ralph, normally a great kick of the football. Distance no problem here. I think he's missed the left-hand side. He has a behind then. So Claremont a 2-3. West Perth a 1-2. Some fine finesse on a wet night so far. That was nifty the way Morton got it back across his head there with that clever deflection to kick it. Bush Jones leads back in the race opposed to Ralph on the outer side. Shepherd throws himself at the ball to no avail. Bush Jones was legged. He'll take a free kick. Matt Bush Jones. From half back, he kicks towards half forward. Big pack at the fall of the ball. Miles gets a fist in there. King's got the football close to the boundary line. Rides a bump and manages to get his boot in. Out of bounds on the full according to Host. He's not the boundary umpire though. He'll have a boundary throw in. He is. Umpire White to throw it in then. Down towards the 50-metre line. Higgins with a hand on Bradmore's shoulder. Miles was held without it. Miles will take the free kick. West Perth asking a lot of Phil Bradmore to do the ruck work on the forward line. Tonight their problems compounded, of course. Danny Foley isn't out there. This is Cam Shepherd. Chips it in short. Gathered nicely on the half volley by Golding. Golding with a hand pass over the top to McKenna. Back it comes to Golding. Golding running up towards the centre square, kicking towards half forward. Scott is up down there. He's gone to centre half forward, obviously. Trying to come through is Turley. That was a great tackle by Kicker, jarring the ball free. It's taken by Scott. The hand pass was charged down by Damon. Great football from both sides. Munns eventually gives it to Mifka. Munane's got it now. Munane driving out towards left half forward. Bradmore cleverly with the body, but no support. It's gathered by McKenna. Men on for the short kick. And the short kick comes across to be taken here by Lewis. Lewis breaking away quickly. That's Cameron Lewis. Not a good kick towards the centre of the ground. Buick does well for West Perth. And again, gets it across to Managlio. A lot of skill in this game at the moment. Managlio goes down towards full forward. Miles fisting away. It's taken forward of the pack by Beers. He kicks across the ground. And the mark is taken on the outer side by Cam Shepherd. He wants to play on. And does. Kicking down towards the half-forward line through the hands of Courtin. Waiting behind. The mark is taken by Peter Thorne. Thorne's away by hand across to Mummy. Mummy goes long down towards full forward. A lot of jostling down there. Sadowski, was he pushed under it? Not according to the umpire. Cook's taken the mark. He's already kicked one goal. Stephen Cook. Only about 12 metres out. Enjoying it down there. Strong customer. He's reveling in the body work.
Well, it was pretty good use of the body, wasn't it?
And he comes and steers it through. The third goal is on the board for the Tigers. Urging him on, Peter Thorne. There's the bounce. One out by Nelson, who's tried very hard in the absence of Foley. This is McKenna looking for Urquhart, who breaks away. Urquhart on centre wing, sends it down towards half forward. Kickett will be the danger here. Almost the mark. He was spoilt by his own teammate, but he butters up again despite the efforts of Mummy. Kickett wins the ball and favours Mummy with a hand pass. No hard feelings. It comes to Court. Who's exactly that. He forces it on somehow, gets it to Thorne. Thorne runs into goal and is missed. Well,
it's a pity because there's some superb football there by Kickett, who looks as though he's really in the mood to play night football tonight. Dennis, his play across the half-forward line again then was quite superb, and he was the one that created the opportunity by persistence, really, which is something he's not necessarily known for, and it's very good to see. And really, Thorne, once he got that opportunity from the forward pocket, even though he was on a fairly acute angle, the kick suited the left footer, and he should have kicked the goal.
Bush Jones kicking in, grandstand side. In front was McKenna. A chance behind now for West Perth to work it forward as Turley boots it towards left half forward. In front down there was Spong. Battling with him is Lewis. Lewis gets the clever deflection across to Urquhart, who paddles it to McKenna. Nice work by Claremont. Back to Lewis, who kicks towards half forward. West Perth in from the side through Bell. Almost hanging on was Mummy. Mummy, the hand pass intercepted with brilliance by Managlio. Managlio goes over the top to Wake. What a good hand pass it was. A couple of West Perth men free. Wake, not a particularly intelligent hand pass behind Buick, but Buick has the presence of mind to steady and fire it down towards half forward. Bradmore, what a great kick that was.
And beautifully judged by Bradmore. He just momentarily held his ground there. He didn't really get into the back of the opponent, but just steadied and allowed the ball to drop ahead of him. Once that happened, he took the necessary step or two to get into its path. And a very vital kick for West Perth. In these sort of conditions where goals will be at a premium, he can ill afford to miss this one. And it would do his conference a lot of good too, Dennis, and West Perth need him firing.
Well, if he misses, he won't miss by much. He's normally a pretty good kick, and he didn't miss by much.
No
just to the right-hand side.
And further down the ground, Dennis, if we're looking for where West Perth need to lift, players like Darren Buick, who played a great game of Basseline last Saturday, I believe he'd need to do a lot more than he's done so far.
Kick comes in then, bounces off the chest of Cam Shepherd. Tim Scott's gone back to full back, so they're shuffling their side around a little bit at the moment, Claremont. This is Sean King. Mifka saved by his left foot. He's at left half back. High kick back to centre wing. In front is Cam Shepherd. Managlio over the top. Fists it out of bounds. Will have a throw in. Boundary throw in, centre wing. Nelson opposed to Higgins here. Nelson's in front. Wins it forward. Managlio. This is McKenna. Good Shepherd lent there by Morton. The kick around the corner from McKenna. Bradmore, or rather Brad Mummy, couldn't hang on. Claremont working the ball in a triangle at the moment. Eventually Urquhart decides to go for some distance down towards right half forward. Kick it over the top. Goes after the ball yet again. Trying to break away as Wake. Back comes Kickett. Throws himself in there, and there's going to be a ball up, I think. A lot of endeavour from players of both sides, and in particular that man.
He rather fancies the night football, doesn't he?
Wayne Damon is hurt. Well, Wayne Damon and Derek Kickett going in after that ball on the ground. Neither of them give any quarter. And on that occasion, it's Wayne Damon who's finished up the worst for wear. So it'll have a bounce. Damon in the hands of the trainers, as you can see. Gets to his feet now. There was a bereavement in the West Perth camp this week. Alan Lyons, one of the stalwarts, one of the great men of West Perth, had a hand in training those three trainers gathered around Wayne Damon. He'll be sorely missed. This is Mifka taken high. He'll get the free kick in the back pocket. Away he comes. Drives it back towards half-back, and Nelson takes the mark on his chest. Craig Nelson, left half-back then, under the lights of the Wacker for premiership points. He drives it towards centre wing from behind. Higgins couldn't hang on. Now Buick with a chance. Kicks down towards half-forward, and Fong's in front of his marker and takes the ball on his chest.
That's the sort of football West Perth need from Buick.
This is Danny Foley. He's on the ground now. Well, I can't understand why he wasn't there at the start, Dan Foley, as he hand passes across towards Fong. Fong on the 50-metre line, chips in short. Good call from Sean King, and he takes the mark about 20 metres out. A little more than that, about 30 metres out.
Stuart Holmes, I thought, felt he could have got that ball, and I believe he could have, but it doesn't matter really, as either one will take the kick. Yes, he almost interfered with the flight of that football, just well he didn't, because it's an easy shot for goal for West Perth, and they need it.
Sean King directly in front then has kicked the goal, one they need. That's their second, 2-3 to 3-4. Up goes Higgins. He and Nelson both fall over. Coming through is King. King has the ball. Ferrets out a hand pass to Damon, who's got a lot of dash as he goes towards half-forward. Kicks towards Foley, and Foley could have almost been paid the mark. It wasn't. It must be a Claremont free kick then to Scott, who was held without possession. Yes, Foley didn't start the game. I can't understand that. Well,
I was about to ask you that question as an ex-coach yourself. Now, last week against Swans, I thought he's one of their very good players.
Certainly.
And why he wouldn't have started on the ground, well, I suppose you'd have to ask Bruce Monteith, but it's a little bit of a puzzle.
Mark is taken by Mifka on the outer side. Well, Foley was the best player in that first round game. The game after the first Eagles match at Subiaco Oval against East Perth. This is Damon. Gets it across to Munns, who runs towards half-forward. Long kick down towards full-forward. Bradmore is there with Beers. Bradmore takes the mark 15 metres out.
Well, that was a very, very similar piece of football and a similar mark from Bradmore that we saw a couple of minutes ago. There he is, number 16, the Spock for West Perth. One of their very, very good players in the last 4 or 5 years since he came across from Footscray. Judged that to perfection, really, in the face of some fairly fierce opposition from Claremont. A little better position to kick a goal, too, than he was a moment ago.
Bradmore, what's he done? Missed narrowly again.
Well, not a lot of consolation missing narrowly, is there? I mean, that was one he should have kicked. The other one's a little further out and a little more of an acute angle, but that really was a goal that one would expect a player with his skills to have converted.
Kick grandstand side. Munns should mark this. Up he goes, was interfered with, and he'll get the free kick. Now, I think there's a malfunction with the clock here. We've got problems on both the clocks on the ground. Neither of them appear to be working, but we've been playing now close to full time in the term, I'd suggest. There's McKenna on the mark. Munns has got the ball. Dan Foley's down in the goal square. High ball comes in towards Foley. That's a fine kick by Munns. Foley not required. It clears he and Scott. And the third goal is up for West Perth. So scores are level, and West Perth certainly have kicked on in the last 10. Interfered with Nelson. Nelson will take the free kick. And certainly since Foley's come onto the ground, I think that's coincided with their resurgence a little. This ball is kicked wide of Foley, who is offering a lead down there. It's fisted away by Host. A chance for McKenna. There's the siren then for quarter time. And at quarter time, it's 22 points apiece. Term in at the WACA ground. Scores are level. Interesting to note Dan Foley limped off during the huddle at quarter time. So he came in carrying an injury. He was certainly under a cloud coming into the game. And he was tried. And he failed. Ahmat knocking the ball through. It's taken by Beers. A high kick down towards half-forward for the Tigers. Almost the mark down there to Claremont's. Higgins trying to force his way through Mifka. Eventually Wake finishes up with the ball and shows some dash as he comes away towards centre and kicks towards half-forward. Coming out on the lead down there, almost the mark to Holmes. The deflection comes back towards centre field. Long kick by Golding down towards half-forward. Fisted away by Perrin. directly to Shepherd. He was claimed from behind by Wake. Coming through down there is Mifka in turn. Robbed of the ball so easily by Ahmet. The high up and under. Using his body down there, Menaglio trying to keep his opponent out, Urquhart. Urquhart picks up the loose ball, though, and goes goalward and kicks a goal. Well played.
Well, there was a series of errors there by West Perth. They had any amount of opportunity to clear the ball. Probably the most costly of all was the fumble. We'll just see it in a moment. That's it. Nelson almost threw it out behind him, really, unintentionally, of course, and Urquhart swooped on it. Some good shepherding in the goal square, too, to finish things off by Cook. And Clermont go to the lead again.
What a 3-4. Craig Nelson. He's opposed to Court. Well, there was no opposition, really. Nelson won it down easily to Munns, who boots it towards taken by Warwick. He started the game on the bench too. Bradmore's got it. Hand passes across to Menaglio. I think there was some doubt about the fitness of Warwick during the week as well. They wouldn't like him to go down now. These conditions certainly tailor-made for leg pulls and what have you. As the ball is driven around the outer side by Lewis, and Menaglio drops what he should have taken but plays on quickly. Goes over the top to another wily veteran in Fong, who boots it inside half forward. Up was Miles down there waiting behind his host, who runs the ball out of bounds.
I just wonder about Jeff Miles, Dennis, when the Eagle selectors are assessing him. Now, we see him do a lot of that, but not all that often does he come down with a football, does he?
No.
And a little bit of a problem, I think, with his judgment on occasions like that. And I think he gave away made a couple of bad errors at Essendon last week.
Nelson appeared to be tackled. Golding booted the ball. Menaglio is told to play on. The free kick was paid. The kick comes down towards full court through the hands of Holmes. Now a chance behind. Was it Sadowski who was carried forward? It's going to be a free kick to West Perth. It's Medafri coming up from that forward pocket. So Medafri, who's already kicked one goal, recruited from Harvey Brunswick in the southwest. Formerly Swans territory, but West Perth picked up a bit of that. Harvey and Colley. Here goes Medafri. Way off to the left-hand side from behind Bradmore, intent on destruction. Got it to the ground. This is Fong working hard outside 25 metres. Well tackled. Brought down solidly by Golding. Fong gave him one. Meantime, Warwick chips it in short, and the mark is taken by Bradmore. It was a touch ball. Bradmore gives it across to Buick. Buick is slung as he kicks, and the mark is taken by Holmes. Well, if you're watching off the ball, there was certainly a bit happening between Steve Golding and Les Fong. This is Holmes in the left full forward pocket. And I think there's been a report or two as a result of that.
Well, Fong's involved, and so is Goulding in that little altercation. Both numbers were taken, but that doesn't mean to say they both reported, of course.
Holmes kicks a goal for West Perth. 4-4 apiece then.
Well, it's pretty tight here at the WACA, the first night game for points ever. Would it be?
No. There's a few in the old days when Perth used it as their home ground.
Were there lights here then, though?
Oh, under lights.
I said under lights, Dennis.
Sorry.
Yes, I was just recalling the days of the showground.
There's umpire O'Reilly to bounce it down. 28 points apiece. Nelson, again favoured by the bounce, gets it down to Munns. That's almost holding the ball as he was claimed by Golding. Working over the ball is Urquhart. Thought he was taken high. Kicker tries to soccer it out of there. McKenna, clever hand pass across to Thorne. Thorne goes down towards full forward. Nice kick. Beats the two men down there and bounces goalward. Getting back is Bush Jones, and he carries it through for a behind. Cook and Sadowski lunging at that ball. Neither of them did much to deflect it or stop it. It was a foot race back. Bush Jones didn't get the ball in play, but he kicks in as a result of the behind and finds Turley. With that behind, Clermont lead 4-5-4-4. This is Craig Turley on half back, kicking towards centre wing. Bradmore's in front down there with Beers. Coming through solidly is Golding, who's tying it up well now for the Tigers. Beers has it over the top. Urquhart can go inside and does to kick it with ample space. Decides to run down towards the 50-metre line. Here's trouble. Kicks with his right foot. That's a magnificent effort by Kickett. Once he was able to settle, he's a man who relishes the space.
Well, that's that class that he can produce at times, and he's produced a fair bit of it tonight. Actually, a very good first 15 minutes. The handball's going to come over in a moment to him. Not to him yet. Well, in a moment, and there it is. Now, Kickett initially was going to dispose of that football, but then there's a lot of byplay behind the play, and that allowed him a clear passage into goal. And with his right foot, he steered through a beautiful goal.
5-5 to 4-4. Clermont, as they did in the first term, starting well. We saw West Perth peg them back, tie it up at quarter time. Managlio collides there with Kickett. Ball jarred free. It's taken by Wake, who hooks it around the corner, lays it into the path of Damon. Coming down to meet it is King. That's a great tackle by Miles. Ball spills wide. Chance for Damon now, surrounded by Claremont players, across towards Brendan Bell. He's claimed in turn by McKenna. Showing some dash in there is Mummy. Mummy is grabbed by King, but not before he got it across to McKenna, to Miles. Now Miles widens the game up a little bit for Claremont. Long hand pass to Golding. He pulls it back. Ralph almost the tumbling mark. It spills to Bell. Bell gets it across to Managlio. Managlio the long kick towards half forward. Now it's a foot race in the open space. Bradmore, not the quickest man, in pursuit of Lewis out there. Lewis backs himself, does it well, gets it over the top to Shepherd. Shepherd on centre wing, running towards half forward. He pulls it back towards centre half forward. Ralph should mark this one. Couldn't. It's knocked away. Chance for Buick. Timely hand pass to Managlio. Brilliant hand pass to Fong. Fong in centre field. Wrong puts the oncoming court. Goes out wide towards left half forward. Dropping back is Scott. Dropped the mark. Taken by Beers. Gets it across to Miles. Miles goes towards the outer side. Lunging at the ball, McKenna. He stopped it only for this man, though. Tackled on the outer side. Will be a West Perth free kick, Mifka. It's bad luck for McKenna, but he showed too much enterprise that time. Kick towards centre half forward. Host from behind Madaffrey. Knocking it across the goal face here is Miles. Miles and Warwick chasing it towards the boundary line. Oh dear, oh dear. Damon crashing in. Meantime, West Perth have a shot at goal through Warwick. And he's kicked behind, or is it out of bounds in the opposite pocket? No, he snuck it through for a point. Wasn't a bad camera shot as the boys came crashing into the fence. Beers to Mummy. Mummy at half back. Back to Beers. Beers runs through half back, draws a man, goes over the top with a ranging hand pass, taken out there by Morton, who's lent a good shepherd. He drives it down towards half forward. Ralph is down there, waiting behind a chance for Kickett. Crashing through was Cook. The only man left standing was Wake. Wake comes across the goal face and finds Munns. Munns drops the mark, but he's got plenty of company. It's all West Perth. Gets it across to support from Bush Jones, running up from half back. He kicks towards half forward. King's in. He takes a very good mark opposed to Miles. Beautiful mark. Sean King wheels onto his right foot, chips in short, and Madaffrey takes the mark on his chest. Breaking for him is Buick. Will he pop it over the top? No, he won't. He's going goalward. Didn't really settle himself. Makes no difference. It looks a pretty good kick. It's aided through down there for West Perth on the goal line by Holmes. It's bounced through for a goal. And we've played about 5 minutes. I think they've got the clock pumped up now as Bell tries to kick it through the pack. Managlio goes after the ball. He was held without it. He'll take the free kick. Get Managlio on the outer side. Gets it across to Bell. Bell gives it back towards Wake. That wasn't a very judicious hand pass out there by Managlio. Claremont clear the zone. Coming through is Turley. Touch of brilliance. He's going to be a good player, Craig Turley, as he drives out towards left half forward. Warwick is up, knocked away by Lewis. Wins applause from Morton. It's out of bounds and we'll have a throw in on the outer side. So they were level at quarter time. We've played about 7 minutes now of this second quarter. Nothing's changed. Bradmore required to do the ruck work and wins one down this time. Buick. Cam Shepherd drives it towards half forward. Over the top, McKenna thumps it away. Leading in the race towards the boundary line is Urquhart. With him is Mifka. It's out of bounds and we'll have a throw in out there.
Interesting, Dennis, even though there's never been more than a goal or so in this game, I don't recall West Perth having been in front at any stage. I think Claremont got the first point and pretty well have either been level or in front pretty well right through.
Higgins and Nelson. It's one down to Armat. Long hand pass over the top. Out of bounds. Well, I was saying about 7 minutes gone. As you saw, it's in excess of 9. Pushing up towards 10, so they've got the clock working, but they started just a little bit late. One out by Higgins through the hands of Mummy, trying to crash his way through Managlio, deserving of a free kick there. No, there's going to be a bounce. He's working hard. Peter Managlio, captain this season of West Perth, twice fairest and best winner at the club. Bounce on the outer side. McKenna's got it. Dragged off the kick. It's scrambled back inside 50 metres. Armat now. Brilliantly done, Joe Armat. On the left foot, he kicks down towards the full forward area from behind Cook. Sadowski remains on his feet. Leading back in the race, Bush Jones. Sadowski urging him on. Bush Jones chips it across the goal face. It's taken by Mifka in the opposite pocket. He runs round in front of the Wackers scoreboard. Lent assistance out there by Damon. Mifka runs up towards half back and he's gone too far.
Well, that wasn't a very good play by Mifka. He had any amount of opportunity to kick that football long before he finally did. And I thought the umpire was being fairly lenient really, to allow him to go that far.
This is Guy McKenna with the ball. Too far out to score. He'd be about 55 metres out.
One good thing about the run, at least he got him out of kicking range.
Here's McKenna. Kicking down towards full forward. Should be a West Perth mark. Kick it went in where Angels feared a tread. It comes to Ahmat. Now to kick it. Kick it about 10 metres out. Will kick a goal. No trouble at all. Well, Kickett it was who gave the good contest initially. It should have been a West Perth mark, and a couple of the boys stood aside, but not that man. He stormed into the pack, almost took the mark initially, amongst 4 of them.
And it could almost have been a West Perth free kick too, but perhaps would have been a little bit too much of a ticky touch with one. But as soon as Kickett got possession of the football, that was it. He was not going to miss from there. He's playing a very, very solid game for West Perth. Claremont. Used to be West Perth.
Warren Ralph is coming off the ground.
So much for his height.
Yes, he's replaced by a far shorter man in Peter Thorne. Smart thinking, Jared Neesham. Over the ball is Munns and Bell, and a couple of Claremont players tossing themselves in. Derek Kickett going in very solidly again, relishing this chance against his old side. Fisted forward by Urquhart, down towards half forward for the Tigers. Over the ball is Bush Jones. He's claimed from behind, gets a hand pass out to Perrin. Perrin comes over the top. Good football to Turley. Turley can go again and does to Fong. Fong on the burst through centre wing, goes down towards the pocket. Claremont have got the numbers down there. Bradmore couldn't hang on. Trying to crash his way through as a Claremont player in Miles. It spills across to Scott, and Scott gathered the ball out of bounds. Boundary throw in, outside 50. You watch Derek Kickett play exciting football as he's played tonight, and one wonders why there's not a berth perhaps on the Eagles side for him. He really is one of the most exciting players in Western Australia in any football team, as Claremont pull it back towards full forward. Or rather West Perth do, and up was this man getting a free kick, Lewis.
I think there's a lot of players in that Eagles lineup, Dennis, who may consider themselves a little fortunate ahead of him, I agree. Even as an interchange player, I think he'd be priceless.
There he is again, driving down towards half forward. We haven't seen the best of Derek Kickett either. I think restricted on a half forward flank or forward pocket. That's really not his caper. I think fully fit and up the ground, he could be an exciting player perhaps in the centre or on a wing, as the ball is hand passed out of bounds by Damon. Not good football, and we'll have a throw in.
A pretty slick hand pass. It looked very clever, but there was no one there to receive it.
They're generally a prerequisite, aren't they?
I think it's handy.
There's a throw in. 6-5 to 5-5. Turley's got it. Turley at half back, driving towards centre wing. Almost the mark to Beers, couldn't hang on. Getting on top of him is Phil Bradmore. Will have a bounce. I suppose the test will come when John Todd, who was announced state coach this week, has to pick a mesh, a blend between the 8 WAFL clubs and the Eagles. That'll be interesting. That would be a challenging time.
Has anybody defined yet what Eagles can and cannot be picked in that side against South Australia I'm talking about?
I think it's open slather. Ball goes down towards half forward. I'm not sure. I spent a lot of the summer away. Socket off the ground by Golding. Down towards full forward. Out comes Cook to McKenna. McKenna's in trouble. Slung off it. It was a great tackle by the West Perth player down there, Perrin, and the ball goes through for a behind. 6-6 to 5-5. Never know, John Todd might smile on Derek Kickett. Ball towards the outer side. Nelson couldn't hang on out there. Pitched awkwardly in front of him. Picked up by Managlio. Managlio drives around the outer side. It bounces just inside the field of play. It's still in, though it's out now.
It's got me a little bit puzzled. I suppose we'll have a look at that later on. But how the WAFL can pick players from the Eagles, who are a VFL club.
Over the ball out there is Managlio. Managlio breaks away nicely, drives it towards half forward. Up in front, Beers couldn't hang on. Beers driving it back towards the half forward line. In front out there is Munns. Munns shrugs off a tackle, kicks towards the outer side. Warwick's got the ball. Warwick's on the move as he goes down towards left half forward. Into the air host, but the mark is taken by Madaffrey. Madaffrey chips it in short. In from the side, Buick took a hard fall. Down goes King. Good tackle by Miles. Crashing in there is Buick. The umpire decides to ball it up. There was solid commitment too from Court of Claremont. Bounced down on the 50-metre line. Bradmore opposed to Court. Comes wide of the pack and Fong. Fong gets a hand pass across to support. Dragged down was Munns. Shoveled out of there by Mummy. Leading in the race is Damon. Pushed off the ball by Ahmat. Damon comes back, but Ahmat has had a pretty good night. Driving towards half forward. McKenna in best position. Couldn't hang on. Crashing his way through down there was Bush Jones. Away comes Wake. Wake shepherded by Perrin. Perrin took one high. Now the advantage is paid. The free kick was initially awarded, but because West Perth were unchecked on the outer side, Munns was told to play on out there. Over the ball on the outer side, Claremont. This is caught. Still over the ball, Claremont. Lewis, who started all of that, comes back and finishes up on top of the ball again. And we'll have the dance out towards left half forward. Imagine about 15 minutes gone then. I imagine, because I'm making that allowance. 13 showing on the clock, so we'll add that mandatory too. As the short kick comes across the ground, not good football by West Perth. Jared Kickett breaking things up. Away he comes. Kicks towards half forward. Up in front was Armat. Chance behind for Claremont's Thorne. Thorne 25 metres out, gets it across towards McKenna. He's in trouble. Tries the hand pass back to Higgins. Higgins is claimed from behind. Away comes Wake. Wake drives towards the outer side. It was a good tackle by Bush Jones that set it up for Wake. Hewitt goes over the top to Menaglio. Menaglio on the burst through centre wing towards half forward. Too much carry on the kick. Waiting behind Madaffri. It was intended, I think, for Holmes. Madaffri pulls it. It bounces through for a goal. Claremont, the slenderest of leads then. One down by Court. Picked up by Nelson. Trying to crash his way through his bell. Turley. Nice football by West Perth. This is King. King from 60 metres, a long kick. It swings off to the right-hand side. Defensive mark and a good one taken by Lewis. Well, much the same thing happened in the first quarter. Claremont started the term well. West Perth came back strongly, and again West Perth looking better now as Beers has paid a mark. And towards left half back.
I thought Bradmore didn't think so, but I thought that was fair enough. Particularly some allowance must be made for the greasy conditions, I think.
Beers along the grandstand side. Higgins was up, didn't make contact. Armat battling with Damon. Damon over the ball. Two terrors out there.
Square up.
Damon gets the free kick.
What was that for?
Umpire said too high, but they were grovelling on the ground, weren't they? There's the short one to King. King gives it back to Turley. Turley at right half forward. Inch perfect. The crowd groaning, but it found Warwick just inside the boundary line. He's 50 metres out. Too far out to score, I'd suggest, although he's a lovely kick. He thinks he can go close from here. Dean Warwick in deliberately. Not much run up there because of the fence, and as a result, he kicked it rather tentatively and just scrapes it through for a behind. 6-6 apiece. This is Scott. Scott kicking towards the half-back line, and the mark is taken by Lewis. Lewis breaks away. Kicks towards centre wing. Thorne is out there. Clever mark, Peter Thorne. Takes it on the break. Running towards half-forward, Thorne. Quick transference of play by Claremont. Big pack into the air down there. Sadowski trying to punch away behind. Getting back is Bush Jones. Grabs it. Hooks it around the corner. Lays the ball into the path of the runner. Turley's got it now. Turley with assistance. Men all around him. Feeds the ball further afield. Taken by Buick, who runs to centre wing. Pulls it back looking for Warwick. Caught in from the side. Couldn't take the mark. Warwick with the finesse. Coming in is Nelson. Well played by the big fellow, but the hand pass is brilliantly intercepted. Well read by Golding. Puts it back towards half forward. West Perth all around the ball. This is Perrin. He's claimed and slung by Thorne. The hand pass comes to Wake, who waited for it. Still it's Wake, though. Gets it across to Turley. He was a bit lucky. Turley breaks away from half-back. Driving towards half-forward. Buick edging Court under the ball. Takes the mark. Well, Court tried to make a meal of that. It didn't work. He copped a cork in the process. This is Nelson on the 50-metre line. Nelson goes long towards goal. He misses to the right-hand side. West Perth lead it.
Just going back to that run down the members' wing here, Dennis, by Turley, when he bent down to touch the ball on the ground rather than try and bounce it, I don't believe he got anywhere near the ground, or whether the umpire picked it up or not, I don't know. But there's no one will he actually bounced or touched the ball down, I don't think.
It certainly is free-running football at the moment. As Shepherd took it, gave it across towards Thorne. Thorne towards half-forward. Was it a mark? Yes, it was, to Joe Armat over the top.
I'd like to see that in replay. I think he had first and third look at it. It's quick for me there. Certainly had plenty of debatable.
Did he control it? There goes Armat's kick. He controlled that pretty well. He steers it through for a goal. Claremont are back in front. Joe Armat then posting his first goal, and the 7th of the evening for the Tigers. They lead 7-6 to 6-7.
Joe
Ignore
Armat
that.
Spending a lot of time singing the praises of Coach John Todd. He seems to have found a new lease of life at Claremont, and he's a player with a lot of ability, and let's hope he can really show it at Claremont.
Higgins opposed to Nelson. Higgins with the run. Nelson does well. Ball bounced directly above his head. Trying to force it through out there is Ralph. What's he doing up the ground? Having a run on the ball, perhaps. Wake tries to paddle it back and get it to Bell. In comes Nelson, knocked on by Ralph. It's across to support too. Well played. As Urquhart hand passes to Shepherd. Shepherd chips it in short, and the mark is taken down there by Golding. Not paid.
Well,
gee whiz.
The other one was paid. That was a gift.
Chickett holding the ball surely. That was a great tackle by Perrin. Play on is the call. Players getting a little frenzied behind the play as Managlio leads in the race. Miles appeared to get into his bat. No free kick. Incidentally, the free kick was paid to Perrin back in midfield, but the advantage was paid, and Thorne put his body in well for Claremont, and we're going to have a boundary throw-in. Boundary throw-in, centre wing. Nelson's in front. From behind, it's one down by Higgins, taken by Buick. Great tackle by Thorne. He is a fine tackler. Socket off the ground by McKenna, out of bounds on the full. That's a due that Peter Thorne doesn't get. That is his tackling ability. He really is one of the outstanding tacklers. I remember talking to a couple of Claremont players during the off-season, and they said at training Thorne's tackling was generally avoided by most players in man-to-man work. And again, that vice-like grip and evidence. This is Morton. Morton on the half-back line. Swings it back. A high kick. Thorne gets underneath it. And this time the vice-like grip is on the ball.
You surprised me, Dennis. I don't know what he does at training, but I've never really thought about Thorne as being a good tackler.
You keep watching. This is McKenna.
You've got my interest. Boiling point now.
McKenna towards forward Armour.
Beautiful.
It was a good mark. He's been a live wire, first across the centre and now on the forward line. Good move by Jared Neesham to run him in the forward line now. He's causing Wayne Damon a few headaches. Cook and Sadowski. Here's Armat then, inside 50. It's a question of direction, and he hasn't got it. 7-7 to 6-7. Joe Armat, transferred from Swan Districts. He's always been a player of outstanding potential. Obviously, his relationship with Neesham leading to the change this year. This is Sadowski on the outer side, battling with Cook. Sadowski. Weight of numbers win the day for West Perth. Sadowski, despite the lunge from Scott. High kick back towards centre field. Waiting behind, it's taken by Beers. Kickett, clever hand pass, shot it across to Ralph. Back comes Kickett. A lot of desperation. Socket off the ground by Buick. Falling on it is Bradmore. Fong does well. He's well tackled in turn by Mummy. Ball spills back to Bradmore. Well, a lot of hard work in there. Certainly not a passage of play for the purist, but anyone who's played the game realised you'd feel the worse for wear getting up from all of that.
The player I really admire at the moment more than most is Kickett, who's not known for that sort of play either, unless you reckon he is.
I think he is, yeah. This is Buick, yeah, I do. Towards the outer side.
A real goer in tough conditions.
No doubt about it. Kicked out by Beers towards the outer side, just inside the boundary line. It's run out of bounds, and we'll have a throw-in out there.
Can't buy that. Very, very skillful player, but I don't think that's ever been a strength of his.
Well, I think he had a couple of down years at West Perth that led to him going away, but certainly he came to league football as a real goer, and I think it's evidenced in his appetite for the game again. At Claremont, as Nelson boots it down towards the pocket. This is Buick. Buick deep in the pocket, pulls it back. Chance for Claremont. Scott showed a lot of courage. Hand pass comes out from McKenna, taken by Lewis. Does it nicely, does Lewis, and boots back towards centre field. Nelson's in front. Higgins, good use of the body.
A little bit too good, is it? I think he's been free kicked, actually, Dennis. He's not aware of it yet. The umpire is doing his best to convince him. He can't believe it. Actually, I think more often than not, Dennis, that is allowed to go. I think as long as the player's playing the ball and takes the mark, invariably they pay the mark, and I'm inclined to think that should have been done then.
Nelson goes down towards full forward. Bradmore couldn't hang on. Beers looking pretty good in the role of a defender so far tonight. Diving on the ball with great desperation is Lewis. That was brilliantly played as he knocked it out to Shepherd. And Shepherd goes around the outer side, and the mark is taken out there by Urquhart. Urquhart driving from midway between half-back and centre wing. Up was Ralph, couldn't hang on. This is Perrin behind, close to the boundary line. Hand passes out of bounds. That young fellow needs to come across and get the ball. Don't run away, son.
Could be a dollar
down it. Yeah, boundary umpire over the fence.
He's getting over that fence a lot more easily than I did, I can tell you.
Yes, I think the necessity may be a few more gates. Ralph from behind wins it wide of the pack. Hurried kick forward by Claremont, but the mark is taken by Bush Jones. Golding's kick going straight to the defender. Bush Jones then Back towards centre field.
Oh,
The air taking a very good mark was Turley.
Well, he had to. He had 2 players to beat, and Claremont had the numbers ahead of him.
He's going to be a quality player, Turley.
That's good. I agree with that one.
This is Wake. This is line half forward Gavin Wake, aided by a favourable bounce. Chips it. It wasn't a particularly good kick. Well played by Miles as it was fisted away by Morton. Miles goes across the face of the ground. What a good kick that was to be taken by Golding. Golding breaks away and drives it towards centre wing. He's looking for Urquhart out there. Sean King, Julian Urquhart. The ball's out of bounds and we'll have a throw in.
The little kick of Wakes is a bit of a mystery because he's running in towards an open goal, and then he just, as you said, chipped it, went about 20 metres, but he really didn't appear to be looking for anybody anyway.
A few more getting into those stands now, and that's good. It's not that cold tonight. We just had a couple of showers of rain. That was bad luck for the league because it was close to start time. As Ahmad puts his body in, the umpire decides no free kick there. He's going to ball it up again. 7-7 to 6-7. Approaching 28 minutes in the second term. One down by Nelson. This is Damon breaking away. Well shepherded. Damon kicks down towards left half forward. Not a particularly good kick. Out comes Scott. Holmes is in there. Dragged off the ball. Away comes Beers. Hand passes over the top. McKenna's been a lively customer for them too. Ruck roving tonight. Sends it out wide. A chance for Sutherland. Can he control the ball? Yes, he can. He's well tackled. That's a great tackle by Brendan Bell. Wanted to do too much, Sutherland. So Bell goes in short, looking for Holmes. A lot of Claremont players arrive. No one touched the ball. Buick, superbly done. Buick, heavy collision by 2 Claremont players. Buick, oblivious to that, fires at goal and just misses. Well, Host colliding there with Miles and getting through between the pair of them somehow was Darren Buick.
Well, that football deserved a goal. Really brilliant dash by Buick. He's no doubt about him. He's a very, very classy little player. He did everything right except finish it off, really, and split the pack beautifully, and should have finished off perhaps, but a great dash nonetheless.
Beers going down the middle, almost the one-handed to Managlio, diving over the top of him, a Claremont player, and immediately a number of West Perth players arrive. Peter Thorne lunging at that ball. Managlio almost the one-hander. There's the bounce. Higgins opposed to Nelson. Half-time siren then, and Claremont lead by 5 points at the long break. 7-7 to 6-8. It's the difference as we start this second half. Umpire O'Reilly's got the football. 7-7 to 6-8. It's Craig Nelson and Gavin Wake. It was all square at quarter time. So we start the second half. Bounce in the centre. Higgins gets it down. Urquhart runs into a dead end supplied by a couple of West Perth players. And the umpire decides to move in and bounce it. That's umpire Vernon alongside the cricket pitch there. Pretty interesting first half. A lot of skill shown in the conditions. It was slippery out there to start. Managlio, one of the stars of the first half, driving West Perth down towards their half-forward line. Almost a mark. In fact, yes, it was a great mark to Morton. I thought he'd lost it. That's
been the surprising thing, Dennis, about the game. That despite the conditions, there have been some very, very telling marks and some very slick hand passing tonight.
McKenna on the outer side. Chips it across the top, and the mark is taken by Urquhart, who looks a likely customer on his centre wing. He's kicked a goal tonight as he drives towards half-forward. Coming down is Miles. He's on the forward line now. Takes the mark, thinks about a hand pass, and then drives down towards full forward, wide of Ralph. Coming through was Perrin, left it behind. Holmes is in defence too. Picked up by Thorne, claimed by Wake. Comes back towards Holmes. Crashing in there again is Perrin. Perrin rides a bump from Kickett. Couldn't control the ball as a result, though. It goes out of bounds, I think, off his boot. And the kick will be taken by Claremont in the pocket. Short pass comes across and Miles has got it. Miles is inside the 50-metre line. That's it, as you can see there. So he'll kick from about 40-45. And I venture to say it's just a question of accuracy. Jeff Miles. Not normally seen kicking at goal, but he's a pretty versatile player. And that looks a pretty good kick. He puts it through. Goal to Claremont to start the second half.
Well, he's mainly a backman, Dennis, but there's no reason why Jeff Miles can't have some impact on the game from the forward line. Very, as you said, a very versatile player, very skilled player, and a very good goal. He just kicked to start things off. And in a tight game such as this, leading by a goal at the half, early goal for Claremont, that gives them a 2-goal break, and that's just about the biggest margin between the sides so far.
55 to 44. Umpire Vernon to bounce it down. Haven't had any rain since early in the opening term. Offhand, it's taken by Wake, who sends West Perth towards their half-forward line. Madaffri has the ball knocked away, taken by Shepherd. Lewis it was who did the knocking away. On the outer side, McKenna's got it. Goes looking for support around the outer side wing. Urquhart now from the hand pass, runs towards centre wing, kicks towards half-forward. Jostling out there between Miles and Mifka. Neither of them touched the ball. Bush Jones came up, couldn't hang on to the ball, but deflected it over the boundary line. Will have a throw-in. Boundary throw-in, left half forward for the Tigers. Nelson's in front. Ralph opposed to him. Ralph takes possession, does it nicely. In the traffic, Warren Ralph running around, gets a good shepherd from Miles, bought him some time, pulls it back, Kickett's in front, knocked away by Munns. A chance for Thorne, crashing into him. Wayne Damon, down went Thorne, that jolted him, that hurt his neck. Damon's got the ball, gets it across to Bell. Well played, West Perth. Now it's with Wake. Wake can't find the handle. He's in the centre square. Props. Kicks through centre towards half forward. It bounces awkwardly for Fong. Leading back in the race is Warwick. Warwick on his right foot now. About 40 metres out from goal. Puts it through. Great goal to Dean Warwick. 5 points the difference. Claremont lead. The brig is not a factor tonight. Good bounce from umpire Vernon. One down by Higgins. Sharked by Bell. Breaks through the traffic again. Fires towards the full forward line for West Perth. Showing the better judgment though is Scott behind Sadowski. Takes the mark, plays on, kicks towards half back, and Gavin Wake drifting in takes the mark for West Perth. Wake again going short, looking for Buick. He's done a lot of that tonight, short kicking Gavin Wake. Thorne is in there, battling with him as Madaffri. Thorne trying to get it out of bounds and does so.
It's just as well he had his back to the umpire on that occasion, Dennis, because from front on we've got a perfect view of that. There's no doubt about it. He made no effort to keep the ball in play and could well have been penalised for it.
Over the top came Beers, got it down only to Buick. Buick puts it across the goal face. Scott battling back there with Sadowski, deep in the pocket. And Scott does pretty well to gain a few extra yards and then crash into the fence. We'll have a boundary throw in. It's about 35 metres away from West Perth's goal. 55-50, early in the third term. Bradmore works his way to the front. A chance for King. The two number 3s battling. Shepherd gets it across the boundary line. Another throw in. Interesting game. Not much between the two sides ever. I suppose about the biggest margin was 11 points. Midway through the second quarter as Sadowski gets it down. Great tackle applied out there by Lewis on Buick. We'll have another bounce. So this is a time of hard work as far as both these sides are concerned to try and shrug off the other. But both have been pretty persistent so far tonight. Cam Shepherd, hurried kick out of the congestion towards the outer side. Coming through Managlio out there. Coming against the tie to be tackled by Urquhart was King. Well played as the knock came out towards Thorne. Thorne drives around the outer side. Taken by Nelson. Nelson gets the hand pass across to Wake. Wake in turn looking for Wes Fong out there. It was a rather untidy hand pass. Managlio was claimed high. Fong goes back in. He's tackled. McKenna does well. Gets a hand pass out to Golding. Golding goes over the top and finds Urquhart. Urquhart breaks away around the outer side. He's looking for Kickett. Kickett is surrounded by West Perth players. Nelson missed it. Munns read it off hands. Down he goes under a tackle from Thorne. It comes towards Mifka. Mifka breaks away. Well played, Paul Mifka. The hand pass was a shocker, though. It went straight to Sutherland, or was it Urquhart on the outer side? It was Urquhart, I fancy, who boots it back to half forward and Perrin. Perrin is slung. It comes to Wake. Wake gets a hand pass across to Buick. Buick is claimed there by Ahmad, too high.
It's going to be an interesting decision.
It'll be a Buick free kick.
In 15 metres. Some of that hand passing by West Perth was less than perfect. Dennis, all of a sudden they've decided to hand pass on the bounce. So I don't know whether that's by intent or otherwise, but became very sloppy and perhaps just a little bit lucky to get out of that.
Actually, it was Gavin Wake who made the untidy hand pass. He was guilty of that last week. He's trying to do the right thing at his new club. I think from memory, had about 5 kicks and 13 handballs last week as Buick gets a timely kick, a telling kick, and puts it through for West Perth to regain the lead.
Well, good midfield play by them and good persistence by them, really. And Buick, a touch of class he possesses, probably a little more so than most other players out there. And it seems to me that when he's firing, and he's been firing for a good part of the day, or evening rather, then West Perth looks so much better.
Quality game of football, this one. West Perth leaded by a point now, 56-55. We had a thriller last Saturday, West Perth and Swan Districts. Seems we're shaping for another tonight as Buick is taken high and will get the free kick inside the centre square. Buick driving towards half forward. Coming out is Sadowski. Up he goes and he takes the strong mark. What a good kick it was too, directly into his path.
That was centimetre perfect, and Sadowski, who has got under the ball a little bit tonight, on that occasion judged it to perfection, and a very, very good grasp on the football once he got his hands on it.
Sadowski kicking from 50 metres. That is a long kick. That is a fine kick by Steve Sadowski. It's through for another goal to West Perth. They lead 9-8 to 8-7. 7 points the difference, 62 to 55. West Perth getting a surge on now. Bad bounce. Kickett surrounded by West Perth players, but does it nicely. Gets it down to Urquhart. Despite the attention from Bill, a high kick out towards right half forward. Awkward bounce for Perrin. Thorne leads back in the race. Waker's got plenty of pace too, and coming down to meet them both is Bush Jones. And he's content to push it out of bounds, necessitating a boundary throw in. Gavin Wake with the hair. Peter Thorne with a moustache. Can't see it there. Nelson's in front. Wins it down despite the efforts of Ralph. Good ruck knock. It comes to Damon. Hurried kick around the boundary line. Warwick left it behind. It's picked up by McKenna. McKenna gets it across to support. Morton goes to ground, but got it to Mummy. Now Mummy in traffic. Kickett left it behind. Picked up now by Damon. Good pressure by West Perth. Damon breaks away. Kicks towards centre field. Managlio behind.
Oh, beautiful. What class.
Great judgment by Peter Managlio against the young Tyro Urquhart. And now Managlio gets 15 metres.
Beautiful mark.
Managlio, superb pass. Well, just short of Madaffrey, who was a bit slow coming. Picked it up on the half volley. Gathered now by Bradmore. Virtually tries to hand it across to King. That was a great tackle by Lewis. They're told to play on now, Claremont. Kick towards the outer side by Shepherd. It's taken out there by Sutherland. Sutherland goes down towards half forward. The mark is taken in front by Perrin. Perrin wants to play on. Feeds the ball over the top. Good hand pass. Breaking away is Munns. Munns kicking towards centre field, but the mark is taken by Bell. He's away, running to half forward. Sends it out wide. Sadowski on the lead.
All of a sudden he's inspired, and so too are most of his teammates. And West Perth using the ball superbly.
Sadowski looking to centre the ball, and Buick takes a finger tipper.
And not too many playing better than Buick at the moment. He is brilliant. And when he's brilliant, as I said, West Perth looks so much better. But they're getting a lot of drive from across their half-back line. They're playing a little bit more finesse too, West Perth, and certainly using the ball better than they did in the first half. And now Claremont, perhaps, Dennis, for the first time, as we watch that diving mark from Buick, Claremont for the first time perhaps feeling the pinch a little bit and under pressure.
Yes, the challenge is squarely with them now. Darren Buick from about 40 metres kicks towards goal and puts it through. West Perth extend their lead. They lead 10-8 to 8-7.
Yes, it almost seems as though Claremont have really been at times coasting, content to be a goal or two in front, as was the case for most of the first half, and got the first goal in the third quarter. But then since then it's been all West Perth, and this is the best passage of play by either side all evening. 4 goals, in fact. The last 4 have come from West Perth, and they're looking pretty good all over the ground. I was a little bit worried about, from their point of view, of Mifka at centre half back on Miles, but so far Miles hasn't really had the opportunity to expose Mifka, who I don't believe is a centre half back.
13 points the difference. Back in the centre. It's a good bounce. It's a lot of height, is umpire O'Reilly. Fong, hand passes out. Munns in real trouble, claimed by Kickett. Trying to go through was Fong. Armat, the clever hand pass over the top. Into the path of Kickett. Kickett and Thorne.
Danger.
And Kickett was still, I think, having a bit to say to Thorne, and is still having a bit to say to Thorne. And he collided very heavily with a man coming out, Brendan Bell, because he was having too much to say to his teammate and perhaps not concentrating enough on the footy. But obviously he felt that he'd called the ball as his, and Thorne had other ideas. Thorne, the clever hand pass, gets it to Miles. Miles is dragged off the ball. There goes a kick goalward for Claremont, and it's hit the post. So Mummy, the hurried kick goalward. Or was it Armat? May have been Armat out of that congestion. I was still watching a couple of the Claremont players having words. This is Bush Jones, meantime, going towards the outer side. Up there was Cook claiming some sort of a mark and or free kick. Turley comes away with it meantime. Drives it around the outer side. It's pretty close to the boundary line out there. It's run out of bounds. And we'll have a throw in. There's Beers and Bradmore. Approaching 12 and a half minutes third term. It's 8-8 to 10-8. Higgins and Nelson. Indecisive stuff. It's knocked on by Bradmore. Leading in the race is McKenna. He falls over. King can't control it. And we'll have a boundary throw in. Higgins and Nelson once more. Body work there. Higgins deflects it down to Thorne. He's claimed, gets a hand pass across to support from Shepherd. Shepherd wobbly kick towards centre field. Ahmad shows a lot of courage, picking the ball up Managlio. Managlio comes down towards full forward with a kick. Host is behind down there. Buick does best on the ground. Still it's Buick. Twisting and turning, goes with the left foot down towards the pocket, and it's taken by Madaffri, and he must get 15 metres. No, the umpire decides there was no malice in that.
Well, I dare say Madaffri might dispute that. But what a superb little chip pass there from Buick, though, Dennis.
What's
now, that's
this?
the mark. Oh, that's quite clearly, distinctly, after the, well and truly, there's a pause between the mark and that infringement.
Well,
putting off his kick anyway.
That's right. The problem is that sort of stuff sometimes works, and it did there, but that was very poor umpiring.
Indeed it was, but very, very skillful football by Darren Buick.
What a great servant of the club this man has been. Noel Morton. Driving around the outer side. Being any team I picked, over the back, a chance out there for Urquhart. Urquhart lays it off into the path of Thorne. He can't control it. He's claimed by Fong from behind. Back comes a Claremont player in Urquhart to try and help his fallen teammate. Knocked out of the congestion by Claremont. Down goes Turley. Was he carried forward? Not according to the umpire. In goes Sutherland. It's out of bounds and we'll have a throw in. Some of the youngsters working hard for the Tigers tonight. Of course, that's going to be their strength in coming years. They won the Colts Premiership last year under Bruce Monteith, who's now at West Perth, of course. There's Thorne, base of all of that. Over him, Wake and Fong. Years of experience there. And we'll have a bounce down on centre wing. 2 goals West Perth's way. 1 down by Nelson, taken by Bradmore. Well played by Bradmore, feigned the hand pass, then he boots it down towards the pocket. Buick edges his man past the ball. Warwick arrives on the scene. Clever feint. No, he was out of bounds.
But unfortunately, he did all that very well to thread his way through a couple of opponents, and was just about preparing himself for a left foot shot on goal when he was told he's out of play.
Conversely, you could say the Claremont player played it perfectly. Trying to crash his way through there was Warwick. He goes to ground. Ahmad, the hand pass over the top. A chance for Thorne now. Thorne releases the ball to Morton. Morton runs up through the centre, kicking towards half forward. Miles was up, could have been pushed in the back. Coming through is Bush Jones. He's surrounded by Claremont players. Then goes Miles. Over the ball is Mummy. Claiming the ball in there with a lot of desperation was Bush Jones. He tied it up nicely for the Falcons. And we'll have a bounce at centre half forward for the Tigers. There's the bounce then. Nelson in front. Out rucks Ralph, did it nicely, laid the ball into the path of this man Turley, who goes for a run down the outer side. Craig Turley goes over the top. It's taken by Warwick. He's at right half forward, Dean Warwick. Long kick towards full forward. Buick behind, just knocked away at the last possible second there by Cam Shepherd. That was timely for the Tigers. He put it out of bounds.
That was very, very good play too by West Perth as Warwick was coming down the ground. Buick and a teammate were both running back into the goal square, and the move was on. It just didn't quite carry to Buick.
Sadowski opposed there to Higgins. Neither of them got a hand to it. Behind a chance for Madaffri. Gets a hand pass across towards Fong. Lending assistance now is King. He's slung off the kick. It goes back towards a more central location. Buick knocks it down. Lucky one for West Perth. Madaffri gets his 4th goal. It went through the legs of a Claremont defender. Coming to meet it down there, Scott and the host, and neither of them had much luck.
Well, this is the point in time now that Claremont sides in the past have been found wanting. They've been pretty cruising. There's the lucky kick that's going to bounce over the Claremont player. Tapped on cleverly there by Buick, and then an easy goal from Madaffri.
Paddy Madaffri. West Perth extend their lead. Trouble times for the Tigers. Derek Kickett certainly tripped. Oh, and then was taken high. What about the trip, says Derek? Absolutely right.
I've got a feeling the umpire was about to blow the whistle for just that, Dennis, and then thought that Claremont had the run of the football and paused, and I think that's what caused the problem.
Goes out wide, beautiful pass, good lead by Warren Ralph. It'll be nice to see him back in form. I don't speak as a Falcon supporter, I'm sure, when I say that, but he's a player much maligned in the VFL. Nice to see him back and kicking goals for Claremont. He got 3 against Perth last Saturday. Here he is, a long way out, kicking from about 55 metres. Not a bad effort either. They'll contest about 5 metres out. Nelson's height saved him there. The leaper from behind was Cook. Grabbed by Mummy, high up and under. Cook knocks it down, trying to favour Thorne deep in the pocket. He's claimed by Fong, trying to cross the boundary line, and we'll have a boundary throw in. Good quality football game. Supporters of both sides getting right into it. One sense is Claremont need another goal, though, otherwise the bird may fly. Over the ball is Bush-Jones. Munns, a clever hand pass out to Wake, and Wake gets it across brilliantly to Mifka. Mifka breaks away from half-back, boots towards centre wing, showing the judgment Cam Shepherd. He takes the mark behind Buick. Cam Shepherd goes in short. Golding, who's drifted out of the play on this term, takes the mark. In real trouble. That was brilliantly played. Brilliantly played by Brendan Bell.
Yeah, good persistence, wasn't it?
Fong chips it out wide, taken by Warwick. Managlio is breaking down towards half forward for him. Beautiful kick into the path of Managlio.
Oops.
Managlio has the ball at left half forward. Perrin is on for the short pass, but he elects to go for distance. Long towards the key forward spot. From behind, it's knocked away by Lewis to Turley. Turley, the high kick from about 40 metres. He's way off target. It's out of bounds on the full in the right full forward pocket. Scott will bring it back. 74-56. So West Perth slipping Claremont at the moment. Another goal would make it awkward. Approaching 20 minutes in the term, and John Scott waiting for the ball to come back. It's been a good duel in this quarter. Morton and Warwick. Now Scott has the ball. Low trajectory kick out towards the half-back flank, and McKenna takes the mark. McKenna hugging the boundary around the outer side. Over the top, Miles. Sutherland's got it now, booting it down towards half forward. It's a footways across the ground. Damon and Ahmat. Damon does well. Well claimed by Ahmat. The ball's jarred out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. Throw in at left half forward for Claremont. They desperately need a goal. Nelson opposed to Miles. Miles from behind, but Nelson wins it down brilliantly. Damon rides the bump, gets a free kick. Don't know what for.
Dennis, when you're looking for good players for West Perth, I don't think you have to go too far past Nelson either. I think his ruck work has been quite superb tonight.
Outstanding game.
Again.
There goes Fong around the outer side. Court over the top takes the mark. He plays on quickly, driving it back towards half forward. Miles is outnumbered, stood his ground well and recovers well. Well done, Jeff Miles. Shoots a hand pass out to Ahmat, chips the ball across the face. Mark is taken by Urquhart. Grand combination by the Tigers, and Julian Urquhart could end it now with a goal from about 30 metres out directly in front.
That was very good persistence by Jeff Miles. He was outnumbered 2-1. Almost took the mark in the first instance. But once the ball hit the ground, he knew his job wasn't completed, fought on, and as a result of his work, there's a chance for Claremont to peg one back.
Urquhart tries it through for a goal to the Tigers then. One they desperately needed. They're 9-8. West Perth are 11-8.
Yes, they need a couple more of those. I was saying, or started to say earlier, Dennis, that this has been a problem with Claremont in years gone by when things haven't looked the best. They haven't necessarily butted up all that well, as there's a kick coming across the ground. And this is the leap by Miles. Well, he didn't really have much purchase on it from the marking point of view, but he persisted well, and that's where it all started from. And now they've got the challenge, and let's see what they can do about it. They've got one back and a couple to go.
74 plays 61, is it? To see that board, they need bigger numbers over there.
We need better eyesight.
Yes. In there is Sadowski. Sadowski gets it across to Buick. Buick goes looking for Munns. Munns confronted by Kickett. Played it well, did Munns. Scrambles a kick towards centre wing, and Gavin Wake. Let's see what he can do. He's been a valuable player tonight, Gavin Wake. Breaks away, kicks it across the ground. Good vision. Managlio now leads in the race. Managlio coming down towards left half forward. He wants something down forward, realises all the players are down the ground. That was quick thinking. He went for distance and didn't miss by much.
Yes, full credit to Gavin Wake, Dennis. We saw him make a couple of very bad plays against Swans last week. In fact, in the finish, it almost cost West Perth the game. But tonight, he's been a very constructive player.
The main thing, I guess, from West Perth's point of view is he's trying to do the right thing and make that impression at his new club. He really is, on occasions, trying to distribute the ball too often.
Share it around too much,
Yep. But there's no harm in that, I guess, from a coach's point of view.
But he's made a couple of very good dashes and split packs rather nicely in a couple of occasions. That's good to see, actually.
Caught opposed to Bradmore. Bradmore wins it forward. There's Noel Morton close to the line. Well, that was pretty good stuff by Noel. He just couldn't keep it in play, but clever nevertheless. Approaching 22.5 minutes then. They're set for another big finish. Caught. Mummy coming through the pack. This is Warwick. Twisting and turning Dean Warwick. Well tackled by Beers. Trying to crash his way through was Mummy. Put down by Bradmore. Turley did everything and then lost the ball. They've done the hard stuff. Sutherland was at him, but Turley got out of trouble. Only to spill it. Bradmore doing the ruck work again. That's a luxury, really. Caught not a tall man, though, so they can get away with in this situation, although Court won that one decisively. Down to McKenna. He drives around the outer side. Miles was up. Ball carries the players. Socket off the ground. Well, attempted to by Sutherland. Sadowski was held without it. Coming through his arm out. Shrugs the tackle. Well, almost. Hand passes as far as Bush Jones. Clever deflection by Turley to Munns. Munns around the corner to Damon. Now West Perth can set something up as Damon runs towards centre field. Kicks high towards half forward. Bradmore is up behind Beers. Roving the pack, though, it's all Claremont as Golding gets the hand pass out wide. It's taken now by Shepherd. Shepherd goes in short. Urquhart takes the mark. He's been impressive tonight, Urquhart. He's got the ball down towards the line of the square, the attacking side of centre. Half-distance pass, looking for Ralph. He's surrounded by West Perth players, but Ralph is going to get the free kick. I think it was there.
Well, if it was only just.
Marginally there.
I thought he got a little softy early on in the piece, and I know the West Perth fans aren't all that impressed. Les Fong is about to leave the ground for West Perth.
There goes the long kick then. What's he done with it, Warren Ralph? He's put it through, so the game is back in the balance. Claremont get their 10th.
The West Perth supporters are letting the umpire know what they think of that decision. Doesn't matter, that's his second goal, and now the margin is back, as you say, to 7 points, I think. And
8 points.
8 points, and Claremont coming back well. They were certainly under a lot of duress there a couple of minutes ago, because I'll make it 7, but not quite.
Bounce in the centre. Twisted forward by Claremont. It was Beers, but West Perth win the ball down towards full forward. Coming through with dash is Scott. Scott has a bounce. Les Fong is off the ground. It's been replaced by Peter Manane. That's McKenna getting a hand pass over the top. Scott has followed that ball out. Untidy hand pass. Made it awkward for Thorne, who committed himself pretty well as his host. Thorne shepherding, almost getting in the way. Host the wobbly kick towards half forward. Perrin gets a fist in there. Read off hands nicely by Buick. He boots it back towards right half forward. McKenna from behind, knocking away from Bradmore. Close to the boundary. Host can't keep it in play and will have a throw in. So Fong is off the ground. Manane is on. And Fong started the game on the bench last week. He's done a lot of that in the lead-up games in the Crest of Line Cup and also in other practice matches for West Perth. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's on report tonight as Beers comes away and kicks towards half forward and Sutherland takes the mark. So Fong, who was stripped of the captaincy coming into the season, Armat, good play by Claremont as they work it forward. West Fong finding kicks hard to come by.
If Les Fong is on report, Dennis, would that be the first time that he has been?
That's not a bad question, Eric. It'd be pretty close.
Suspicion that he may have been once before, but didn't get conviction, I don't think.
There goes Armat. Long, and I think he's missed narrowly. It hasn't happened too often in any case, and I think perhaps the frustrations are showing. Les Fong hasn't had the best month in terms of the build-up to the season or the first couple of weeks. Here's Bush Jones driving towards the outer side. Caught the leaper from behind. Misreading the ball initially was Turley, but he goes back and wins it. Good hand pass too to send King away. King under pressure, kicks looking for Munns. He gathers the bouncing ball down towards half forward, pushed off the hand pass. It comes eventually to Bradmore. Bradmore goes across to Bell. Bell gets around Golding. Now he's on his way, Brendan Bell, driving it down towards full forward. Scott in best position to mark. It almost bounced off his chest. He was glad to hang on to that one, I fancy.
And one of Claremont's better players, Dennis. He's been a very, very strong defender.
Managlio goes in on kick it. Down goes Managlio, coming through as Morton, gets it out brilliantly, taken by Shepherd. Hurried kick towards centre wing. White gets a fist in there. Coming through solidly as Perrin. Mummy is in there too. White shows a lot of desperation. Down goes Perrin. He was grabbed by the leg and he'll get the free kick. Ryan Perrin on left centre wing. Runners inside, squares the ball, taken by Munns. Manane is calling for it up in the centre square. Munns ignores that. He goes for distance. Down towards left half forward. Court is up, and that's a great mark over the top. He hurt his teammate Beers in the process. Court from half back towards half forward. Seesawing affair now. In from the side, it's knocked away from Bush Jones. Roving the pack, a chance for Mummy. He was taken high. Well, Mummy will get the free kick. On centre wing, Mummy. Ralph comes on a lead. It's high in the air. Bush Jones in close attendance. Perrin tries to fist away. Roving the pack. It's Golding. He settles. Goes towards goal. And that's a well-judged kick. Scores a tie.
Well, it hasn't been Stephen Golding's best game of football that I've ever seen him play, but it's a very, very timely goal. And Claremont have really been persisting in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Probably for the first time midway through that quarter they felt threatened. In fact, they were threatened, all right, because they were trailing by 3 goals. But they've come back very, very well. And now they've kicked the last 3. So this quarter, as against the first 2, which were even, have been a bit of a seesaw affair.
75 to 75. Into time on in this third term. West Perth slipped away. Claremont showing a lot of character, have come back and reclaimed their chance at winning this game. Bell, I thought, was taken a little bit high by Ahmad. This is Kickett. Breaks away from the centre. Swings it out wide. Claremont lead in the race in all directions. Steve Golding, he can go close from there. Should he kick it goal? He does, and he pulls it back and finds Miles. And Miles also is a man who can kick the ball long. He's on the 50-metre line and a chance to put Claremont back in front. This has been a remarkable comeback by the Tigers. And the trend in this quarter goes against what we saw in the first 2. West Perth started the quarter well, and it's been Claremont who have finished the stronger. Jeff Miles from centre-half forward goes long. What's he done with it? That's going to be touch and go. On the goal line, Ralph almost the mark. They battle after it, forced through for a behind by Damon. And so Claremont lead it by that margin. Nelson looks a tired conveyance down there. Not where they want him. In the back pocket, he needs to be out giving them something to kick to. There's the short one in from Perrin, and Wake does very well to take the mark. It wasn't paid. There's the siren, 3/4 time. And Claremont, who led by 5 points at halftime, lead by 1 point with half an hour remaining. So the crowd not very happy, some of these West Perth supporters, with the umpiring. But Claremont showing, as I said, character is not a word I particularly like in football, but they did really apply themselves, Eric, in that last 15 minutes or so.
Oh, I think the West Perth fans are going back to that free kick that Warren Ralph got, Dennis. That's what they're irate about.
Okay, well, we'll be back with the final term right after this. Start of the final term then. Claremont lead by a point, 11-10 to 11-9. 5 points the margin at halftime. They were level at quarter time as it's one down by Court. Scramble in the centre area there. Court's over the ball for the Tigers. Brendan Bell in close attendance for West Perth. And the umpire will throw it down again. So the stage is set for a big finish here. Shades of last Saturday up at Bassendean. West Perth got pipped there. And the Tigers would like to repeat the dose. Kickett pushed off the ball, trying to be too clever. Coming through is Bell. Bell breaks a tackle nicely, runs down towards half forward, sends the ball out wide. It pitches in front of Sadowski coming down for the Falcons. He can't control it, then gets into the back of the Claremont player. Cam Shepherd, after all of that, was lucky not to be penalised for holding the ball. Eventually emerging with it is Morton. He does something with it, as is generally his custom. Thorne gets it across to McKenna. McKenna's in real trouble, claimed by Wake. Over the ball is Bell. He tries to knock it out. McKenna shows a lot of fight and goes back in there and locks it in for the Tigers. So a lot of energy expended for little return from both sides.
Well, they both sides got a dead heat, I think, in the circumstances. They'd both be pretty happy about it.
Caught brilliantly down to McKenna. His kick not a good one, though. It comes directly to Darren Bennett. He chips it across, and the mark is taken. No, it's not paid. Yes, it is. It's going to King. That was pretty close because there was nobody there for Claremont, so it was all up to King. Did he control this ball? Ooh.
Yep, no doubt about that.
He had it longer in slow motion than he did actually.
Very hectic third quarter, Dennis. If the last is as good, well, we're going to see a real beauty.
There goes the King kick. It's off to the left. No, in fact, they contest. What about the kickoff line dead set? It's off the hands of the pack and goes through for a minor score. So, it's level again. 11-10 apiece. Kick into the path of Lewis around the outer side for the Tigers. Lewis over the ball. He needs support. He's outnumbered 2-1. Managlio goes in there and wins the ball. Somehow he extricated that from a tight situation to Bradmore. Chance to put West Perth in front. Long kick down towards full forward. He's off target, but that's enough to put the Falcons back in the lead. They lead 11-11 to 11-10. And in response to that query you raised earlier in the game, I do have the answer now. As the kick comes grandstand side, in front is Damon, can't control it. Armat's in there, does brilliantly. Great play, Joe Armat, breaks away from half-back, runs towards centre field. Not a particularly good kick, and Turley throws himself at the ball. It was a half volley. It was a clever piece of work by Turley on the ground. McKenna, he was favoured by some luck there as the ball came to Cook. Cook goes in short. Nipka can't hang on. Coming through is Bush Jones. Boots it back towards centre field. On the outer side, as the ball bounces out towards the wing, is Buick. Buick running towards half forward, goes long down towards full forward. Big pack into the air down there. Bradmore off hands, Snaps towards goal. That's a fine effort by Phil Bradmore. He's put it through. Opportunistic goal by Bradmore. West Perth at 12-11. Claremont 11-10.
Well, he's had a few pot shots, Bradmore, from close, and this is a magnificent dash by Buick, but what on earth was he doing out there by himself as the kick comes in? No mark, but well read by Bradmore. Didn't have a lot of time. You never do in those circumstances. He threw it onto the left foot and away it went, but a brilliant dash down the other outer wing by Buick. But he found himself 50 or 60 metres in the clear, and that's important.
Early in this final term, Nelson favoured by the bounce, but storming through his Golding, and again as he knocks the ball towards half forward. Thorne can't control it. He was taken high. Now it was Mummy. Mummy's still battling after the ball, scrambles the ball towards centre half forward, but Nelson's in the road, boots it back towards the half forward line for West Perth. King couldn't mark. Away comes Host. Host from half back sends play back towards half forward. Miles is there, knocked away by Nelson, taken by Munns, only as far as Kickett. Kickett gets it across to Thorne. Thorne stood his ground, no mark. Socket off the ground by Perrin into the oncoming Miles. Miles again puts his body in, diving on top of the ball down there, a Claremont player. Let's see who that is, picking himself up rather ruefully, Sutherland.
Mithka would have breathed a sigh of relief. That hand pass his was a poor one, and I thought the mark should have been paid to Claremont.
So did I. Nelson, only as far as Sutherland, kicks towards full forward. Cook looking for the free kick. He'll be battling to get one down there. He won't be. That was a high tackle applied on Holmes, and Holmes will get the free. Holmes going across the goal face to the opposite pocket. Bush Jones almost fumbled it out of bounds. Hugs the boundary line as he goes wide. Kickett, almost the mark to kick it over the top of Mithka, but once more roving the pack with dashes Managlio. Around the outer side he goes and uses the ball brilliantly. It's taken by Bradmore at left half forward. Bradmore kicks down towards the pocket. In front is King. King at the second attempt. Was it out of bounds? That must have been close. Right on the boundary line he came up with the ball. Sean King plays on. Goes for a more central location. Claremont have got the numbers. Lewis, he's played a pretty good game in the back pocket. Takes the mark over the pack. Cameron Lewis was at Claremont a few seasons back, then drifted to play country football. And here he is back with Claremont to good effect as a defender, formerly a wingman, as Bradmore gets it across to Buick, and Buick chips into the pocket, and the mark is taken there by King.
Bradmore's lifted a little bit too, Dennis, in this last quarter. Very, very tight last quarter, and that's very important for West Perth.
King goes long down towards full forward. West Perth with the numbers around the ball, but caught almost the mark. Warwick in congestion, scrambles at goalwood and puts it through for another one. So two opportunistic goals for West Perth, and that stretches their lead. Now the Tigers will be tested again.
Well, they came back once, and let's see what they can again. Now, West Perth, who went down by just points to Bassendean last week, wouldn't want to drop another one, another close one. They've got their break again. 13 points, a very, very precious lead at this stage of the last quarter.
Dean Warwick congratulated there. That was a fine effort. Play restarts. West Perth now out to a lead of, what's that, 13 points. As Derek Kickett sends Claremont down towards their full forward line. It's fisted away by Perrin from Thorne. Roving the pack, it's Sutherland. Tackled by Perrin. Tries to get the ball across to Thorne. It bounces on its end and stays in play close to the behind post. It's pushed towards the boundary line by Holmes. And he got enough of an angle on that to convince the umpire he was trying to keep it in play, and we'll have a throw in.
Very skillful piece of work.
This is Higgins, number 19. Nelson, who drifted out of the game in the third term from behind Ralph. Chance for Thorne. He's surrounded Thorne. Can't work the ball forward. Socket off the ground by Ahmad, was it? And what's he done? He's put it through for a goal. Well, Ahmad somehow got a boot in there amongst all the bodies and arms. And a goal to the Tigers. So we've seen a spate of snapshot goals. Joe Ahmad with the latest.
Very, very valuable. Doesn't matter how they get there, and Claremont had to work very hard. A lot of packs forming around the goal square in those circumstances. Perhaps, yes, have a look at this. It's a matter of luck, really, I guess. In fact, it's hard to pick out where that came from, but a goal nonetheless.
Back in the centre as Claremont creep closer. 7 points the difference now. This is Golding. Oh, gave it away. Taken by Managlio. Back to centre field. Ahmad has had a good night. Takes the mark on his chest in front of Damon. He's kicked 2 goals, Joe Ahmad. That last one, question of being in the right spot at the right time. Towards half forward, Sutherland through his hands. A chance behind for Golding. Falls over. Falling into his back was King. And as you can see, the stakes are pretty high, and there's some desperation there. Claremont winning their opening game. West Perth 1-1 from 2 games. Of course, they'd hate to lose another cliffhanger tonight. Nelson goes up and thumps it towards the boundary line. King and Turley leading the race, but we'll have another boundary throw in. About 7 minutes gone in the term. Nelson wins it down. King pushed off the ball well by Thorne. Comes to Sutherland. He's upended. Nelson, a clever hand pass to Turley. As you can see, no space to develop very much there, and Turley and the ball crossed the boundary line for another throw in. It's been a quality game, this one. I've said that several times, but given the situation tonight, is small crowd, although that's built up a little bit as the game has worn on. This is Sutherland close to the boundary line. Coming across the face of Sutherland there was his teammate Golding. It's out of bounds and another throw in. And the shower of rain we had at the start, and then another one in the third term. All things considered, the players have done very well. There's been some very skillful exchanges. Trying to crash his way through out there was Ahmad. He goes to ground. Jarred free now to be taken by Perrin. Dragged off the ball. A chance for Ralph. Ralph about 20 metres out. Pulls it back and misses to the right-hand side. 6 points the difference. West Perth lead. Ralph has kicked 2 tonight. Matt Bush-Jones has got the ball. Where will he go? Coming grandstand side. Puts the ball in front of King. King and Ahmad. Ahmad does well. Gets it out of bounds. Initially, King was using his body on Ahmad, and Ahmad, sensing the danger that King may mark, just consented to put it out of bounds and let the troops arrive and see what they can make from this boundary throw in. Through the legs of Ahmad. It's picked up by Mummy. Gets it over the top to Sutherland. Feeds the ball inside. It's all West Perth here. It's taken by Holmes. Awkward looking kick. Higgins is in front. King does well to knock away. Coming through is Holmes once more. He's confronted by his opposite number, Golding, and the ball spills out of bounds. Just a tick over 10 minutes. Who do you like from here, Eric?
I just fancy Claremont all of a sudden, Dennis. I've switched a few times as much as the lead in this game, really, but Claremont to me applying a lot of pressure now, and I don't know whether West Perth can stand up to it.
This is Kickett. High kick back towards the 25-metre line. Perrin gets a hand in there. Comes to Mifka. How did he get through there? Mifka kicks it back towards centre field. No one out that side of the ground. Storming down is Manane. Will it sit for him? Peter Manane being pursued by Host. Still he goes, Peter Manane, close to the boundary line. He pulls it back towards a vacant wing area. Coming down a minute is Warwick. Left the ball behind. It's taken by Mummy. Gets the hand pass across to Ahmad. He's been everywhere. The hand pass not a good one that time. Warwick gives a good shepherd, enabling Manane to give it to Holmes. And Holmes kicks towards half forward. Bradmore is there, almost the one-hander. Hits the deck. Coming through is Lewis. He's played a grand game in defence. McKenna gets it across to Beers. Beers the hand pass towards a more central situation. Sliding over was Urquhart. Picking it up Madafri. Still it's Madafri. He's kicked 4 tonight. He's too far out, obviously, on the wing. Kicks it down towards 50 metres through the hands of Beers. Roving the pack is King. Chance for West Perth. The hand pass finds some width. It comes to Munns. Munns 55 metres out. Kicks it right down to the teeth of goal. Sadowski and his rival Scott off Sadowski's hands. It hits the goalpost. So another point to West Perth, and that extends their lead. They're 13-12 and Claremont at 12-11. This is Mummy. Side trailing by 7 points. Chips it over the top into the path of Morton around the outer side. Morton battling with Bell. I thought Bell pushed him in the back. The ball's gone out of bounds, I think, off the boot of a Claremont player, is it? It'll be...
Oh, it's a Claremont kick, actually. Now, the field umpire didn't indicate a push in the back to Morton. I'm sure of that. I was watching for it.
I think the indication was out on the full, but it must have come off a West Perth leg. In the final analysis, this is Ahmad. Kicks into the traffic. Gains only about 10 metres. Once more, Managlio breaks away. Hand passes to Perrin. Perrin drives to centre field, and Manane takes the mark. Feeds the ball across to Turley. Turley goes out to right half forward. The mark is taken by Munns. Munns on the 50-metre line. That's a fine kick by Ross Munns. What a great kick. On the goal line, did Scott knock it back into play? Yes, he did. Only centimetres in that. The hand pass comes from Shepherd to Lewis. Lewis around the boundary line. Up was Kickett. Couldn't take the mark. He collides with Sutherland. Ball's out of bounds and will have a throw in. Well, Kickett hasn't had the best of nights avoiding his teammates. Boundary throw in as King is coming off and Fong is coming back on. Court wins it down. Taken by Munns to Manane. Manane gets it across cleverly to Turley. Turley from right half forward. Good pass. Bounces off the chest of Modafferi. Diving on top of it is Lewis. Still it's Modafferi going. Great shepherd by Warwick. In goes Morton. He goes to ground. Trying to push it through the pack. Buick, was he held without it? Yes, he was.
Yes. Very important kick for Darren Buick, one of the stars of tonight's proceedings. He's already kicked 2 goals and a chance. I think if he could kick this, Dennis, I might have to make another about turn. That would extend West Perth's lead to 13 points, and midway through the third quarter, or getting close to that point, it will be a very, very difficult one to peg back. But he's got a fairly difficult kick, though, to convert.
Darren Buick then. There it goes. That's not a bad sort of an effort from there. It's very close. It's a goal. So Buick gets his third, and West Perth lead it now by 13 points.
Over $10 billion.
Felt very willingly to those packs at the moment. Thorne goes in on Managlio. Bell goes in. Back comes Thorne. Golding puts his body in. Wake emerges with the ball for West Perth. A lot of endeavour. Wake comes out wide to Munns. Munns with some room to operate now as he kicks towards half court. Fong.
Well, again, Dennis, Gavin Wake, give him credit. He's played a sterling game for West Perth tonight. That was a great piece of play on his part.
Fong goes looking for Bradmore. Kick it over the top. Couldn't hang on to the mark. Bradmore and Kickett tie it up, and there's going to be a bounce. About 30 metres out from West Perth's attacking goal. It's at the wrong end as far as the Tigers are concerned. Up goes Court to win it down into the path of Miles. Good shepherd from Kickett. Miles sends the ball towards the outer side. Managlio and Urquhart out there. The ball crosses the boundary line and will have a throw in. Claremont led by 5 points. At half-time, they led by a point at three-quarter time. The scores, of course, level at quarter time. Coming away with the ball there is Manane. Down towards the pocket goes the kick. It's ill-directed. It's taken by Shepherd. He repulses the attack and goes back towards the outer side, and the mark is taken by Buick. 2 poorly directed kicks. Darren Buick looking for options. Not much happening ahead of him, so he goes for distance. A high kick. Up in front is Miles. Couldn't hang on to the mark. Picked up by Thorne. Clever hand pass across to Kickett. Kickett drives towards centre field. Armat will do something constructive and does, knocking the ball on for the Tigers. Leading back in the race, though, is Turley. In close attendance there is Sutherland. Coming up against the traffic was Beers. Beers does it brilliantly. Gets it to Armat, who followed it down the ground. He goes long towards full forward and narrowly misses. Bad luck for the Tigers.
Deserved better, Dennis. It was a great piece of play. Initially, the tap on by Armat was a good one. And then Beers did well, very, very nearly got it through the big opening.
Bush-Jones, grandstand side. Sutherland and Turley takes a timely and very good mark for West Perth. Chips it towards centre wing. It's all West Perth at the fall of the ball. Gathered by Manane. He was tackled high. He was very lucky.
Oh, gee. If anything, the ball was knocked from his grasp. I don't think any decision should have been made there.
Manane from centre wing. Untidy kick. Well, obviously he's got a sense of conscience. Yeah. Yes, he puts it out of bounds on the field.
If he's a cricketer, he's the sort of player who would walk, isn't he?
Sort of player we'd like to bowl to.
Well, he didn't deserve the free kick, and justice has now been done, except it's 30 metres back from where justice should have been done.
Thorne goes in short and finds Golding. Golding's told he was away. I think it was news to him. Comes back onto his left foot, kicks it high, close to the boundary line. Mifka's in front, knocks it away. Ralph in close attendance, and we'll have a boundary throw in on centre wing. The clock is running, and that's an enemy of Claremont now. About 15 minutes gone in this final term. 96-84. Nelson's in front. Caught the big leap from behind. Comes down to Bell. Bell gets it across to Damon. Damon goes by hand looking for Warwick. It's out of bounds, and we'll have a throw in. There's that 2 minutes of tolerance built into the ground clock. It's just over 17, as you saw there.
Flexing time.
14-12, 12-12. One down brilliantly by Court. That was a lovely ruck knock to Thorne, who's dragged off the ball by Warwick. Nelson's over it. Can't do much with it. There's going to be a free kick West Perth's way. It's going to Nelson. I thought he had the ball, but he's got the ball now as a result of a free kick for being held when he didn't have the ball. He goes down towards right half forward, taking a courageous mark. Going back is Manane. Peter Manane, outside 50. That's a very good kick from Manane. They'll contest on the kickoff line. Almost the big mark behind. It spills off hands, though, to be taken by Bradmore. Bradmore wheels onto his right foot and puts it through for a goal to the Falcons. West Perth 15-12, Claremont 12-12, and that could just about seal it.
Yes, I'd go along with that, and this is a kick from Manane. That was a very good, courageous mark. He knew there's problems behind him, but he kept going. The marking duel, almost a Claremont mark now. Spock, who's had a couple of set shots and missed them, this time snapped, and that was his second snapshot, and his form tonight has got better and better.
After that Phil Bradmore goal, Miles just missing the fingertip mark, soaring above the pack, but as a result of it hitting the ground, Bradmore getting in there for West Perth. His mummy boots Claremont towards their half-forward line. Turley cleverly across to Mifka, who left it behind and regains the ball to Perrin. Perrin over the top. Wake picks up the half volley, just got by Ralph, and one whistled over his head there through his golden locks. He drives it towards half-forward. Buick is up, couldn't take the mark, gathered by Shepherd. A high kick comes back across centre wing. Turley is there, percentage play, knocks it away from Sutherland. A chance now for Damon. Damon's got foot speed if nothing else. Props. Chips it back to Turley. Turley's on centre wing. One sense is West Perth weathering the storm now as Buick goes towards half-forward, drifting across the ground. Court takes the mark for the Tigers. 84 to 102 as Court sends it back towards the outer side wing. Urquhart is out there, but that's a tall order. Marking him at the moment is Managlio. That's a great tackle by Urquhart, though. He dragged Managlio to the ground, and Managlio did nothing with the ball, so Urquhart's got it. Outer side. Fine tackle. Urquhart kicks back towards the centre. Damon drifting back takes the mark.
Well, that's not what Claremont wanted at this stage, Dennis. Perhaps a longer kick towards full forward and hope for a towering mark would have been the order of the day.
Damon towards half forward. Then there is Morton, knocks it towards the boundary line. Coming through is Miles. Manane carries it out of bounds marginally, and we'll have a throw in. Some tired players out there tonight. It's been a pretty physical game. Court's in front. Bradmore uses his body intelligently. Couldn't take clean possession. Mummy runs into a dead end. A couple of famous footballing names there. Mummy and Buick. And we'll have a bounce down. Of course, Corrie overseas. Corrie Buick, a great season with the Falcons last season, coming back off knee reconstruction. Turley, brilliantly done. Got it to Wake. Wake sends it back towards half forward. Chance for Claremont, close to the boundary line. Court gives a good Shepherd to Shepherd. Shepherd, the long hand pass to Lewis. It bounces obligingly for him. Can he hang on to it? Yes, he can, but didn't do much with it. Managlio brilliantly to Bell. Bell spears the ball in short. Manane's got it. They've got a spare man. Manane, the hand pass to Sadowski, and he will run into an open goal and put it through. Brilliant calibre of football here by West Perth, and that most definitely is the sealer. There's no way Claremont could come back from this mess they're in now. There's Bell breaking clean. Now there's a perfect little pass speed in. Manane takes the mark, and the hand pass is on from that point on. Sadowski, just a matter of putting it onto his foot and sealing Claremont's fate. So a very, very fine effort by West Perth to get back into this position. 16-12 to 12-12. One sense is that Claremont are gone now. That clock again is malfunctioned on the outer side. It's jammed on 15 minutes gone. As play restarts, it's one down by Court. Trying to go through against the tide was McKenna. Ahmad appeared to be held high. No free kick. It's taken by Damon. Gets it across to the run of Mifka, who's improved as the game has worn on. He boots it down towards half forward. Fong leads in the race. Coast to host, it's out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. So 15 minutes, a little bit out as you can see. It's approaching 22. And that would tell us, I think, that West Perth are going to take the 4 points from this game. But as they say, it's a funny game, footy. In fact, sportsmen of all sports say that about their particular game. This is Warwick from the Manane hand pass. Claimed by Shepherd. It comes across to Damon. Damon's tried hard tonight for them too. Went nowhere with a hand pass that time. McKenna does well. Gets it to Morton. Morton chips it towards the outer side, and the mark is taken by Ralph out there. Ralph's on centre wing. He hasn't had a very good night. He's going for distance. That's ambitious. Long kick down towards half forward. They do need long kicks by the same token. Fisted towards the boundary by the West Perth defence. Thorne leads in the race. Will have a boundary throw in. Just going back to that last goal, quite often in the build-up to goals, things are forgotten and lost. But I thought Turley's deflection on centre wing was very, very astute in helping West Perth build that goal. Yeah, you won't get any dispute from me about his potential, Dennis. He looks a very, very tidy player across that half-back line for West Perth. Has been tonight anyway. Coming through as Sutherland, that was the point I was going to make. Don't normally go back that far in history, but it was symptomatic of his game. And here he is again, as if on cue. Nice going, Craig. He gets it out to Buick, and Buick goes around the outer side with a long hand pass to Wake. Turley is going to be a player to watch. This is Wake around the outer side. He's been a valuable player too. Into Damon. Damon, who gives his all for the entire game. There's no question about that. Back to Wake on the burst. Wake goes over the top and gets it to Warwick. And now West Perth doing much as they like as Warwick strides out inside 50, long towards full forward. Sadowski got fingertips to it. Scott runs it out of bounds despite his best efforts, and will have a boundary throw in the right full forward pocket. 16-12 to 12-12. More football, of course, tomorrow. And on Sunday, the big game, the Eagles go against the Sydney Swans. We'll be covering a second half live tomorrow from the WAFL. And then we'll have a delayed telecast of the Swans game on Sunday night. Eric Sarich, I know, looking forward to that game. An old South Melbourne man, as distinct from the Swans, but you followed them up there too. Same thing, rubbish. A lot of work in there, and I think Claremont are going to get a free kick. Temper's becoming frayed. Well, it's too late for that, boys. Turley and Ahmad having a bit to say to each other. Joe Ahmad has really put his best foot forward tonight for the Tigers. At his new home, he's tried his heart out on the centre wing and on the forward line on occasions. Fisting away there was Ralph. It's taken by Mummy. Great hand pass. Just a fraction too long for Golding. Golding assesses the terrain pretty well, gets the ball back. Inside 40 metres, goes goalward and puts it through. That was a great goal by Steve Golding.
It's his second, and there's no doubt about Golding. He's equally adept on either foot. He probably had time then to get around onto his right foot. There's a beautiful long hand pass. Didn't quite bounce in the first instance. I think the two Claremont players misread each other's intentions momentarily, but when the ball ran free, Golding didn't make any attempt to get under his right foot. He certainly is a complete little player, well, not a little player really, and a good goal to Claremont.
So it's back in the centre. 16-12 to 13-12. I suppose the question needs to be asked, Eric. Who are you going for on Sunday? And more to the point, who are you barracking for? As Fong picks it up, he's in real trouble there. Edged out of it was Bell, coming through his Armat, drives it long down towards full forward, jostling down there, almost hanging onto the mark too was Higgins, coming through his Holmes, close to the boundary line, paddling it around the boundary line. In goes Thorne. Not much room to operate in, but he does brilliantly. Gets it across to Beers, and Beers snaps towards goal, and it's a behind. He didn't miss by much, and he can't believe he missed it all.
Dennis, the point about the state selection, well, we've got a half a moment.
Oh, that's right. I alluded to that earlier.
And didn't.
That's right. It's open slather, apparently, for the game against Victoria. And for the game against South Australia, it's open slather apart from the 21 players who represent the Eagles that weekend. So players in the Eagles squad can play, but not those that play in the game at the weekend before the state game, which will be under lights. This is Armat. Armat pulls it back towards full forward, getting a fist in there as Holmes, directly to Beers, and this time he'll kick a goal. So Claremont are dying hard.
Yes, that they are. I just wonder now, trying to remember how far into the quarter we are. The time clock doesn't give us a lot of indication. The margin is now back to less than 2 goals. And I guess there's 4 or 5 minutes left as the ball comes in toward full forward. Punched away. I don't know whether that was a very good punch, though. The intention perhaps was to go wide. It didn't work out that way. And as a result, Beers is there waiting for it and stabbed it through. But Dennis, time-wise, the clock tells us about 10 minutes. It wouldn't be that long, I don't think.
No. I think we're probably into time on. What we're saying is, can we see the clock, guys? There's O'Reilly. Bounced out in the centre then.
There we are.
Approaching 27. One down by Court. He goes after it again. Well played by the big fellow. He's been a willing worker towards half forward. Wake is up, and that's a timely mark. That was a great mark by Gavin Wake under real pressure.
And Dennis, more importantly, from his point of view, he's been very, very disciplined tonight. And now he's so disciplined, he's fooled everybody there. I thought he couldn't take his kick.
Comes across to Bell, who goes out wide. Mifka takes the mark. So West Perth just opening the door a fraction for Claremont again. It's 97 to 108. So a couple of goals. If Claremont can get the next goal, we'll have a thriller on our hands. West Perth have other ideas, and they've stopped. They've been far too casual in the last few minutes. This is Mummy breaking away for the Tigers. Their never say die attitude in evidence here. It's over the head of Urquhart. Behind now a chance for Monaglio. Monaglio draws a man and goes over the top to Damon. Damon goes out wide, looking for Sadowski on the lead. Close to the boundary line. It's down the wrong end for the Tigers. Sadowski working it around the boundary, and I think would be quite happy to see it spill across that boundary and buy his team some time.
No coincidence that Monaglio found himself a kick behind the play then, Dennis. His experience invaluable, and I think time is just about going to beat Claremont.
Court goes up and wins it wide of the pack. Taken there by Lewis. Nelson hanging a kick behind the play takes the mark.
Well, he started brilliantly in the first quarter, took 4 or 5 marks in that quarter when it was fairly damp, and then faded a little bit, but by and large he's been by far and away the best ruckman of either side.
Nelson goes with a long kick down towards full forward. Fisting away down there is Court. Roving the pack is Miles, picking up his mummy. The hurried kick out of the congestion. Up is Ahmat, couldn't hang on. Still it's Ahmat. Some indecision between a couple of Claremont players there. Clever play by Ahmat though. Got the deflection to Kickett, who breaks away. Kickett running towards centre field. Tried to do too much. He was dragged down from behind by Damon. Still Claremont work it forward as Lewis drives the ball from the forehand pass towards full forward. Waiting behind, a chance for Holmes of West Perth. He needs to clear the area. He's surrounded by Tigers. Gets the hand pass over the top and a timely one to Perrin. Perrin hugs the boundary. Turley couldn't reach the ball. Waiting behind, a chance for Sutherland now. Measures it. Goes long back towards full forward. Court is surrounded down there as of Higgins. Higgins was the leaper. Offhands a chance for Thorne. Couldn't do much with the ball. Coming through is Turley. Turley over the ball. Bush Jones, in fact, it was, who got it across to Bell. Bell, in a confined space, gives it to Mifka. Mifka, a rather untidy hand pass, but Bell gathers the ball once more. Goes across the goal face and kicks to the outer side and Munns. There's the siren. West Perth have won it. West Perth 16-12 have defeated Claremont 14-13. And a very good game of football this evening at the WACA ground. And certainly, I suppose, a pleasing point from the WAFL's point of view was the build-up of the crowd as the game went along. I suppose at the end, about 4,500 watching. There's Tony Beers mirroring the disappointment of the Claremont players, and there's the jubilation of the West Perth players. So West Perth coming from behind at three-quarter time, admittedly only a point behind. They've pulled away to a good lead, about 4 goals towards the end there, but Claremont have pegged them back doggedly, and eventually West Perth have gone to the line to win by 11 points. So that makes their record 2-1. Let's check the goal kickers. The principal goal kickers for West Perth, Madafri got 4, 3 to Buick, and 2 each to Sadowski and Bradmore, along with Dean Warwick. And for Claremont, 2 each to Kickett, Ralph, Golding, Ahmat, Cook, and Urquhart. Briefly, here's Eric Sarich as West Perth lead the ground.
Yes, that's a very, very big win for West Perth. It would have been a fairly cruel quirk of fate had they gone down narrowly again, having been beaten at Bassendean last week when they were a little bit unfortunate. And Monaglio leading his troops off the ground. A very, very pleased and brilliant captain's game too tonight by Monaglio. And a very good game, Dennis, actually, given the dampness of the conditions early on. I thought both sides acquitted themselves very, very well indeed, and it was a top game of football. West Perth back on top of the premiership table, albeit because the games are a little askew, but they'll be very happy tonight. West Perth by 11 points. For Eric Sarich at the WACA, this is Dennis Cometti for Channel 7 Sport.